Welcome back to the Command Hub here for the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship as we get things really rolling. We can check in with some of the laptops actually as the games are currently going on still. Todd, you actually took over on Marine versus Snoot, and I think a huge battle just concluded.
Yeah, they were maxed out 30 seconds ago. And right now, both players just lost a lot. HeroMarine won a big fight right now. Like, if we can hop into that game right now, you guys will see. They were just maxed out 30 seconds ago. A massive fight took place, everything died, and now Snoot is struggling to replenish his units. They've been extremely close to one another the entire game in resources lost, but with that last fight win, with a lot of siege tanks, it looks like HeroMarine might be able to do it. Like, he's looking in a pretty good spot right now and sieging towards the top.
I guess the crazy thing is the creep spread that's holding him on his side of the map.
Yeah, but I mean, the creep spread doesn't always win fights.
No,
HeroMarine's army is just insane. And now he's got about 120 against 70, so it's looking pretty good for HeroMarine. And again, like, he's one of those sleepers guy, right? That people don't always see as doing too well, who always kind of surprises, comes out of nowhere. What is this Strange Mutalisk transition out to this?
Dude, that's a desperation Mutalisk transition right there. Yep. He's got like 1 carapace against a 3/3 Thor. How many mutas do you need to win that?
Good luck magic boxing that one.
Yeah. God.
All right, let's check in with Maynard as well, who has taken over for Tasteless, as we have Kellezer going up against Namsha. Still 1-1, right?
It is still not 1-1, but Game 3 is pretty damn action-packed. Kellezer has a pretty nice army. Namsha is doing some counterattack on the other side here, and he's starting to cut into that base count here. He's killed 26 SCVs. Obviously, you know, with 56 workers, Mech Terran can still make it happen, but Namsha is starting to fight back. It was looking really good for Kellezer for a while here, but this Viper play has been quite good for him. I think this push is still quite scary. That's a lot of tanks with +3 attack, Kalaris.
Right.
And also the winner of this series will be up against the winner of Todd's series, because it could potentially be a TVT or a ZVZ up next.
That's true. No more cars being stolen on that one, no?
I'll check around. Where was the car? Look, actually, wow.
Ooh.
Oh, another car here.
There we go.
Better tell Neighborhood Watch.
All right, thank you very much, Maynard. And you do have Light versus Lambo going on.
Yeah, it's still a little bit in the early game. We can jump in there. By the way, it's more than 12 mutas needed for that Thor. I'm just kind of peeking over here. That thing is not going down. But yeah, it was just like a Stargate opening. But he's actually going into Colossus Tech really quickly, which is something you don't see as often. So a little bit of off-brand PVZ, but he's got his third base up and stuff. Lambo looks good, looks solid. A little bit later on the Hydra Tech, going into Roaches, which will fare pretty well against Colossus. So yeah, nothing too crazy yet, though.
And as a confirmation, it seems like HeroMarine has been successful and won that series, Todd.
Wow.
Yeah, great job to him. Like, Snoot's actually falling to the lower bracket now.
Yeah, so HeroMarine is actually in the qualifier match.
Yeah.
That's sick. Who's he against?
It's actually looking like it might be Kellezer. He's just taken a big army supply lead with a massive engagement there. Killed a ton of Namsha's units.
Terran. They're making at the same time and winning.
They're making it happen, dude.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes. All right, well, thank you very much, gents. We're ready to get into a qualifying match. It's going to be special going up against Zest. You don't want to miss this one.
Thank you, James. We are about to find out our first qualifier from the third bracket stage here. It's going to be a killer Protoss versus Terran.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Of course, we saw Special not too long ago at the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang. Made it all the way to the semifinals. There he did fall 3-0 against SOS. But a couple of the games were promising. And I really feel that over the last few weeks, Terrans have been starting to get a little bit better again in the matchup. I think this is doable. This is, of course, a very big moment for Special, because you don't want to have a good run again, but then fall right before things get very exciting. Let's see. I mean, Zest looked very good against Bunny, but Special is a very different type of Terran than Bunny is.
Absolutely. And did you by any chance watch any of the balance discussion that the pros are having in the house over there? Special very vocal about struggling with Stargate openings in this matchup. So very curious to see if he's going to be on top of that. And I mean, Zest is the kind of guy who I see a lot of Twilight Robo, these sort of ground-based styles from.
Sorry, I was zoomed out. Look at that jacket of Zest. I want that jacket.
It's the body underneath that gets me a little bit more.
little bit of both, perhaps. Nah, Stargate is very popular. I'm sure we're going to see it at least once in this series. But let's take a look at the main base of our Mexican Terran player spawning in the right bottom side of Acid Plant. It is Special. Now, my question to you, Kik, is where is that Dorito?
He's going to need it because he's facing off against a powerhouse, a player who is getting back up to his former level, a champion of IEM in the past. He is Zest.
Now, of course, the Intel Extreme Masters has a massive trophy. I think it's one of the biggest trophies we have in esports.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when Zest won it? He always said that he wanted to lift it with one hand because he feels that people who lifted with two hands looked weak. And he's like, yeah, it was kind of heavy, but it was worth it. So Zest's real preparation for the tournament was like 1,000 push-ups rather than playing some actual Protoss versus Protoss back in the days. Now we're gonna see a very quick proxy pylon here. It's still just one guess, so there is a good chance that he's gonna proxy a gateway, something that DNS likes to do. We're going to see some good old stalker pressure here. Maybe he feels that Special is that type of Terran that doesn't throw up a bunker. And if you build your CC on the low ground and you don't have a bunker, stalkers are pretty annoying units to deal with.
Yeah, Special not known for SCV scouting in this matchup. As that does slow down the Factory, he prefers to just get the Reaper out for scouting, which is going to give him only very delayed information about what's going on. A Zealot already starting up here for Zest as well. Actually, I've been talking to a few players about this recently. They said you just build a Zealot, you rally a few Stalkers, and the command center on the low ground always goes down.
Now that is a massive scout. Now you need a bunker, Special, as quickly as possible. You need to get a bunker, and he also needs to make sure that he makes a Marine, at least 1 or 2 Marines, before he gets any sort of an add-on. Because you want to put something in this bunker. That scout, guys, is massive. If he doesn't scout it, Zest knows it as well. He's like, okay, I got scouted. Let's just play a normal game from here.
Just back off. Yeah, I mean, a Zealot and a Stalker will be rallying across for some light pressure.
I don't think he's even, I mean...
He's going to rally across. He's got to poke a little bit. But
you need to defend against the Reaper, though. If you send your Stalker out, you're going to end up losing a couple probes.
On this map, there's no jump-in path, actually. So the second Stalker should be able to deal with it. He can just kind of poke the Reaper away if he wants to.
You think he sends his Stalker to the other side of the map? I'd be shocked, Pig.
100%. 100%, Kev.
All right, let's see.
Yeah, it's moving out. Second Stalker's going to get...
And now the Reaper is heading into the main base. 100%, Piggy? 100%? That's not what 100% looks like, Pig. Oh.
All right.
I think he's actually going to end up losing at least 1 probe.
Yeah, he should do. The Reaper, of course, will struggle to get out. The second Stalker coming in.
Yeah, but I think that Juanito is okay with this, right? Like, you lose your Reaper, but if you kill 2 probes, I'll take it.
More importantly, scouting the Twilight Council as well. Very nice there for Special. Has all the information right now. He's got a Cyclone at home. The bunker's up. The reactor's finished.
Cheeky, Piggy. The Dark Shrine.
Yep, going to be a very aggressive follow-up. I mean, he's still on 1 base. Zest has had a disastrous opening so far. This is not the ideal situation. I mean, he's going to start the Nexus. He's going to try and do something with the Dark Templar, but all the advantages lie in Special's side. And the Nexus starts. Look at Special's side. He's got mules dropping from 2 command centers. He's adding a starport now. That bunker is rock solid. Even this Zealot taking a ton of damage. This is not a good position to be as Zest. He's not even going to be able to have a Warp Prism to ferry Dark Templar in the main or anything like that. He's just kind of like, well, let's run DTs in the front and hope you don't have a missile turret.
And he's still got that pylon there as well, but of course, especially now with the Cyclone out, there's a good chance that he's going to start working on this pylon. Zest wants to keep that pylon alive at all costs because, like you said, he doesn't have a Warp Prism.
Ooh, if he can get that Cyclone, that's a huge pickoff. Looks like he will actually just...
Oh, come on.
Oh, my gosh. That Stalker had no fear, man.
I mean, that's a very important snipe as well, of course, because now this pylon is going to survive a little bit longer. And I don't think that Special has an engineering bay yet, right? Can we get a confirmation on this?
Doesn't right now. This is so risky after scouting the fast Twilight. He does have enough for 1 scan. 2 scans are saved up. And that's going to buy him about 30 seconds, enough time to get engineering bay, but there's still a chance he takes a lot of damage here.
Yep, he is building the eBay, but you're spot on. There is absolutely a good chance that Special is going to take quite a bit of damage. First DT gets scanned, but will it live? No, it will not live. Good move there with the hop out of the bunker.
Quick reaction there from Special. And, looks like we might have just a little slight hang there. And Special going to call for a pause here at this intense moment. Good thing...
I love Juanito's reactions. Ritz is perfect.
Zest with a pretty bad start off to this series. I mean, that second gateway, to be honest, whenever I see a gateway proxied there, there's just, I gotta say, really? Does it need to be that close? Like,
yeah, maybe behind the mineral line.
Yeah, something like that, right? Surely that's gonna give you a much better chance of it not being scouted, because realistically, what happened, right? The SCV kind of poked out chasing the probe and was like, oh, there's a gateway here, all right. I'll just build a bunker and be fine, so.
Would have almost been better if that probe would have started fighting the SCV and then send it towards the right side.
Absolutely.
And maybe you can distract Special a little bit, and the SCV actually doesn't head towards the left side. But safe to say, guys, still a great start here for Special, and so far not taking any damage from those Dark Templars. First, Ken was on the money. I was really afraid that the Dark Templar would survive, because then it becomes very complicated when 2 DTs run in.
Yeah.
Excellent quick reaction with unloading those Marines from the bunker and getting those final hits off.
Good focus fire from Special. And when you've already started the engineering bay before that first scan goes down, it is very important. You know, every second matters in this scenario, because even if you say wall off your main, pull the SCVs out of there, the DTs will have time, and it's hard to get that engineering bay, the missile turret up on the low ground and actually secure yourself against this. But Special can definitely afford a little bit of damage. He's way up in the economy. He's had a good start to things so far.
Oh, absolutely, on the money, yeah. It seems like the game is continuing. He's gonna get a Raven. I kind of like that. Why not, right? If you still have that tech lab, just use it for a little bit, and that means that for the rest of the game, when you run across the map, players like Zest are so incredibly good that if you ever want to push out without a Raven, you're going to be forced to drop like 3 scans before you make it to the other side of the map. One more DT is going to show up here. It's going to delay this missile turret for a split second. And
Ooh!
Wow, 4. That was cute. You saw that? How he put it next to the herd SCV is like, shoot at me.
He's like, bring on the splash damage,
Yeah.
mate. Deal that friendly fire. The medevac drop is going to come in with a bit of pressure. And this is where
4
Special
army
just
supply.
gets in control of this game. 2 deep yellow stalkers, no shield battery.
That's all he has.
That's it, man. That DT is the only thing that's going to hang on here.
That's really smart defense, actually, with the Dark Templar, because with just 2 herd stalkers, you were going to have a very, very tough time against 8 Marines and a medevac. Because, of course, Special could micro those Marines a little bit as well, pick up the injured Marines, and obviously keep healing them. Good defense there with the Dark Templar. That's one of those moments where if you would have a little bit of brain lag, which I'm very familiar with, and you're just like, oh, I should wipe in like a Zealot and a Stalker, and suddenly you really start struggling against those 8 Marines, even if they didn't have Stim yet.
Interesting here. The factory is actually just going to swap back onto the tech lab. He was thinking about building a reactor, but Special decides he wants to build more siege tanks here against... Well, of course, he doesn't know what we can see. It's Charge Lot Archon from Zest, or actually maybe just pure Charge Lot.
I think he's going to go all in, right?
Yeah, he's kind of got to, right? Basically, he's got to try and stop Special from scouting what he's up to, go for one big all-in timing and say, hopefully Special's doing things like getting a 3rd command center, going for a 2nd engineering bay, investing a little bit too much in the later stage of the game.
He's not yet, though. I mean, a couple of additional barracks were thrown up, which, of course, is good news for Special. Now, this Raven Scout is interesting, guys, because it spots the pylons, it spots the probe, and Zest is kind of telling Special, I want to take the gold, but we know that, I mean, he might still take the gold, of course, guys, but he's already so committed to the cause. The longer this game goes on, the better this will get for Zest, who's going to wipe in a lot of charges in the main. That's an interesting wipe in, because obviously it means that these units are going to be stuck unless he somehow decides to recall. Could maybe go for some of the add-ons, goes for the eBay for a split second, okay.
Archon doing some big
Stim?
damage to the SCVs as well.
Uh-oh.
Stim taking a ton of damage there. It's going to go down. That upgrade is denied for these Marines in this choke point. They're hanging on very well against these Zealots. The SCVs taking some damage, but most of them are still alive.
The second warp in, I think, is going to be quite questionable, as these Zealots are going to fall quite quick. More Zealots coming in from the other side, though. At least one of the tanks goes down. Well, these Zealots getting right on top of all these Marines. Now Special's going to be forced to pick up a couple of his units. Good micro on both sides, but I still like it for Special. The only really bad news bear is that he lost Stim.
Yeah, but oh, great counter pressure there. The Raven coming in, forcing the probes off the natural. And Zest's economy is already so small, can't afford to be taking that.
Once again, he was down to 4 army supply. He just wiped in 4 Dark Templars. He's going to go for a double Archon drop.
Yeah.
That Prism took quite a bit of a beating as well, as our observer shows us. And it seems like once again we're having a little bit of lag. Very unfortunate, of course. Who is that? Are you ops? He's not in the game. Or at least he's not in this building. That's for sure.
Yeah.
41 army supply against 18. But Zest is not giving up. He wants to get another. He just wiped in a couple of Zealots somewhere else. What is happening with those?
Looks like just a warp in over there. Double Prism harassment coming in. Archons from 2 sides. The problem for Zest here is the fact that Special is only on 2 bases. He's really not spread that thin. But with Stim gone, it does take away a lot of the Terran mobility. Zealot's going to hit the mineral line and a massive warp in.
I like the bunker. The bunker setup is so safe for Special, right? It's really good that he never decided to salvage that. Just makes your life a lot easier against Zealots. Once again, a lot of Zealots being wiped in. These Marines still don't have Stim. That Prism does finally get taken down, as Zest could, of course, bring the other Prism over. These tanks are causing a lot of friendly fire, but the Marine count is still very high, and that's all that Special really needs.
These Warp Prisms diving in here, desperately looking for damage. Zest, though, not finding what he needs. The auto turrets counterattacking at the same time. Special knows he just needs to hang on. His stim is already almost finished, even after being denied before. The Marines using this choke in the buildings, they're saying the Zealots can't get surface area, so it's just going to continually pull back. That siege tank in the middle of the base, constantly dishing out the hurt, and Zest here pulls away 6 army supply. Roddy, not a great position.
No, he's been at 4 and 6 army supply multiple times in this game, and that's not something you ever really want to see. I love the way that Special was using his own SimCity to his own advantage, right? Keep tucking those Marines in those choke points. And also a couple of times when the Zealots did get on top of the Marines, he was able to pick them up very quickly. Just great defense by Special. He's running away with this game. The moment that Stim is done, Zest is probably going to tap out, because he's going to see 8 Stim Marines show up in his main base. And he's got absolutely nothing. Ends up losing an Archon as well, and I think the drop is going to seal the deal for this game.
Yeah, I mean, Zest is trying to do something, but
I think that
this is crazy, man.
Dark Shrine.
Stim Marine's going to come in, gonna force the GG. Zest with a disastrous game 1. Special barely has to break a sweat, shuts that one down, and takes the 1-0 lead very quickly.
Damn, what a convincing game by Special. I loved absolutely everything. Besides, perhaps if we really want to find one thing we can be critical about is the late eBay. You said it as well. He scouted the Twilight, and it's pretty obvious that Special read it at first as a potential Blink Stalker pressure, Blink Stalker all in, or a Blink Charge all in. Didn't really think about the Dark Shrine, but he still handled it so well because he did save up energy. So a lot of kudos to Special, looking very strong in game number 1. We're going to continue game 2 real soon, but let's check in with Kalaris and the boys at the desk to see what's happening in the other games.
That's right, Light versus Lambo. Let's check in as we do have the action going on right now.
Let's do it. Top 1. Get right in there. Oh my God. Oh, GG. You guys were slow.
Rewind.
You guys were slow.
Yeah, you can rewind.
Okay, rewind it.
Don't worry.
Where's the...
No?
How do you get the thing to pop up?
Shift
just
O.
V,
It's actually Shift O.
a couple times.
Shift O.
Shift O?
This is why we need professional observers.
Control Shift
Shift O, huh?
Control Shift
Yeah,
O.
no,
Control Shift O, yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
If you press B a couple times.
Okay,
go
here
back.
we go. Here we'll go. All right. Let's show it. Let's show it. Look, game 1 was kind of the same thing. Like, he opens up Stargate and then goes into, like, Robo, and then goes into triple Robo. So it's been kind of interesting because, like, Lambo starts attacking him. And the thing is, Light doesn't have a lot of units because he's only buying Robo units for most of the game. But here we see it's just like a little Ling surround is going to come up and actually end up killing him. Because he has the disruptors. You look at this like, oh, maybe you can hold. Oh, no, Ling's around your disruptors. GG. Well played, Lambo.
There you go.
The end of Light, unfortunately. But Lambo moves on. Definitely the favorite there.
Would you consider that retribution for eliminating Ziggy?
No.
No, not even.
Nothing can ever equal that pain.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Sometimes revenge doesn't even work. It's just, you just have to mourn for a bit.
Yeah, I guess so. Gentlemen, I don't think you have your series just yet, right? Which series are you jumping into?
I'm just in the lobby right now for Daishi Namsha.
Okay.
As we saw, the Namsha lost to Kelazor 2-1 there.
I'm going to get into Kelazor Hero Marine. But I've been keeping busy, you can see.
Oh, yes. Very busy indeed. Well done.
Wow.
Drawing and basically tracing the image. Great drawing skills. Let's get back to the commentator team as we do have game number 2 on the way.
Thank you very much, James. And it's great to see that Johan Merlo, famed IEM world champion, is also an artist. I gotta love the beautiful pixel art there on the back of that Marine. Great to see him contributing with his analysis skills down on the desk.
We've been using that tool to, great advantage of ourselves in the broadcast, and we've really been, highlighting special points of the games that didn't happen, and instead we just draw stuff on the screen all
I think
the
it's
time.
added a lot to the analysis, to be fair. I think we've really brought a new level of understanding and deep analysis.
Now, I've noticed that it's very fun to use the drawing tool when the game is paused or when you have the ability to pause a replay, but when the game is actually moving, every time you select something, it already moved to a different side of the screen.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh! Game is moving too fast, and perhaps this series is as well, as we've already hopped into game number 2. We're looking at the main base of our Mexican Terran. He's up 1-0. It's Special.
Going into a much more favorable map for his race, I think. He's got to be very happy picking up that game, but his opponent not going to be throwing in the towel very easily down here in the bottom right-hand side. In the red, it is Zest.
Zest the only Protoss hope left in this bracket. And if you guys at home are wondering, like, hey, where are my favorite guys that shoot lasers? Why are they not winning? We've got another bracket later today. We'll start with that as soon as we wrap up bracket number 3. And that one has a lot of very strong Protoss players.
And you got to remember, this is just the qualification stage. There's actually a round of more hard, or just as hardcore qualifiers than the best players from those have already gone through. For instance, in Korea, we have players like Classic and SOS already through to the group stage. And that is what these players are fighting for to get through. So especially if he can win this map, he goes through to that group stage. That round of, I believe it's round of 24, right?
That is correct. We already had 12 players in it, and then 12 players will come through the open bracket. Yesterday we qualified 6 players, 3 Terrans and 3 Zergs. Today we're gonna hopefully qualify a couple of Protosses as well, because we need to keep things balanced, Big.
We do need more lasers, man.
Lasers make me happy. It makes my heart beat a little bit faster. That's weird.
Hey, everybody, whatever floats your boat, you know, you be happy being you, Kev.
Oh man, I must say though, I'm so impressed with the way that Special has been not only improving, but also be able to keep his level, right? Like, it's safe to say that last year he really elevated himself and he reached a new high. But we've seen this in the past where sometimes players do kind of overperform and then they just fall back to being a middle of the pack type of foreigner, you know, and just being, yeah, you're top 10, top 15, but Special lately has been so freaking impressive and consistent. At Leipzig, he had a great run as well, only losing to Serral. In the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang, he made it to the semifinals, losing against SOS. But he's making non-stop deep runs, and I find it very, very impressive.
Dude, it's so incredible, isn't it? You know, even when he was often getting knocked out in WCS, quote-unquote early, it was always to the champion every single time. But here he comes with the Reaper. He sees this gateway and that delayed Nexus. And this is all obviously got to ring some alarm bells. The Zealot run by, similar to the Zerg build where you run a few Zerglings around, coming and trying to slow down the command center. This is oh, he actually blocked the Reaper in with that. Oh, that's such a cool gateway from Zest. Locking the Reaper in the main base. Will he be able to actually seal the deal? The SCV of Special running circles to get out of there. I think the Reaper went down.
Yeah, I mean, it was trapped in the main base, right? And Stalk is a little bit faster. I must say, I love this Zealot pick. It's exactly what you say. There are certain Zerg builds where instead of going hatchery first, you go for like a 15 or a 16 pool. You squeeze out a couple of Zerglings, you make them take a very awkward route so they don't run into the Reaper. And that is exactly what this Zealot did. I have not seen this before in this matchup. Definitely not the way that Zest has executed it here. But he is doing a tremendous amount of economic damage because Special, his command center, is still not done. And now with 2 Stalkers pick, it's actually going to be quite hard to finish it up. He should shoot at the SCV. That is exactly what Zest is going to do.
This is getting desperate
He needs
Special.
to pull 5 SCVs.
Yeah, he's got to actually fight with the SCVs. He's got to repair that Cyclone. These Stalkers doing so much damage, but the mass repair is good. The Cyclone looks like it will be able to push back these Stalkers, but that micro from Zest is so impeccable. A 3rd Stalker joins up as well, Roddy.
Oh my god, I mean, I think the CC might be able to finish up after all. It's so close to finishing. There it goes, but perhaps Special should actually float it to the main base. I know that there's even more economic damage, or perhaps he feels that with 2 Cyclones he can actually take care of it. But damn, Zest has been able to do a lot of economic damage already, and he has not lost a single unit yet, besides that Zealot, of course, but that Zealot was meant to die.
It's crazy how these Cyclones dominate in pitched battle scenarios, but the moment the Stalkers just back off, they shoot, they move and shoot. We see that the shields keep regenerating, the Cyclones keep taking damage, and Zest just making those Cyclones look a little bit silly. Special with a rough start to game 2.
Yeah, the only thing I must say though, I'm a little bit surprised by the work account. I honestly feel that Zest should have been much further ahead than he actually is. I think maybe he got a little bit too carried away in his micro. It's good to see that even Zest is a human being, because I think with that much of a delay, and he got multiple SCV kills as well. I think 3-4 SCVs went down in this game, right? Just 2 actually. But I mean, he delayed it for such a long time. I feel he should have been a little further ahead.
Maybe, of course, committing the Chronoburst to the Stalkers, but also maybe missing just a little bit of pro production in the midst there. The fast blink, though, is going to give him a lot of comfort in this next stage. And
definitely charge behind this, right?
Yeah, I feel like the problem for Special is you want to slow the Protoss down, right? When do you get over to that side of the map and put on pressure? You've built a bunch of Cyclones, and these aren't quite as maneuverable as, say, a Liberator or like a Mind Drop or something like that. His Starport, I don't think he even has a Starport, does he?
No.
Oh, man, yeah. So he's stuck on this just kind of frontal, just building bases basic ground units, and this gives Zest so much freedom. Just chrono boost probes, we see the double forge. As you said, he's going to be no doubt adding charge on next. And as special, I mean, all of this clearly leads into either you just sit back for the entire game or you do a big tank push, and charge lots and blink stalkers are very good at shutting that down if the Protoss hasn't taken damage.
Yeah, he's gonna have to push either without stim or he waits for stim, but then he's gonna go up against all these charge lots like you mentioned as well. So it doesn't really matter which option that special chooses. And with these stalkers already here on this front door, if he runs to the other side of the map, he's gonna be eating quite a few volleys of these stalkers. So I think the only thing he can do is just sit back and wait for stim. But that's just painful. You don't want to do that as a Terran player. You want to have some map presence. You want to be able to potentially kill a couple of workers with either some mines or any sort of harass.
We see the Marines trying to sneak their way out. Special desperate to get some information about what's going on Zest's side of the map. He wants to know that third base timing. He wants to know the probe count. And without that information, it's going to be really hard for him to formulate a plan.
I'm still shocked that Zest is only at 45 probes. I know I'm starting to sound a little bit like a broken record. And I guess he kind of interrupted his probe production because he wanted to get all the production facilities down. But Zest, you have unlimited freedom. And he actually knows it as well, not just because they're an observer, but he's got the stalkers there. He knows he doesn't have to worry about anything too much. He could have been at 60 probes, for real.
I actually have got to totally agree with you on that, Kevin. I mean, one of the best things you can do as a player is you get an advantage or an edge, as he did with slowing down the command center. You push that advantage, you run away with it. But Zest playing so middle of the road, he almost looks a little bit frightened. He wanted to get down 9 gateways straight away, but he actually cut so many workers, and once again, he's frozen up on the probe production. I think he's basically saying, look, I think Special is just going to do a big 2-base push. I want to just stop probes here, make a massive army, shut down the push, and then counterattack. But this is a very rigid plan. There's not a lot of flexibility here for Zest.
I think with the type of army that Zest is working with as well, when you're going to be very heavy on the charge lots, you really do need a commanding economic lead, because otherwise, if it gets quite close and you take one bad fight, Special can micro back, he can kite back for days, and if you go up against that, you just need an overwhelming economy that by the time that he's done killing 7 zealots, you warp in 10 more and be like, good luck, have fun, you know, keep kiting. But with only 53 against 44, you can't really take trades like that. However, at this point, Zest finally getting closer and closer to that sweet, at least 60, 62 probe count that I think you really need with this style. And from that point on, obviously the upgrades are the one thing that he does have going for himself.
I mean, we've got like 3 Immortals out. How many sentries are there out right now? Oh, 2 sentries. So yeah, okay, mostly Guardian Shield focus. There's a lot of firepower in this army. He's not really going to be able to buy time or split the army.
I really like this drop by Special because this forces Zest to pay attention to his main base and also allows Special to just walk across the map uncontested.
Yeah, that drop there does do a little bit of damage. Zest gonna come forward here with a nice force field. Split Special's force up. Very nice start to the hold here. Zest just gonna pull back. He wants to buy time. He knows he's got the superior economy. He's got great production right now. Special wants to push in before this upgrade advantage gets even worse.
More Zealots being warped in though. Zest is gonna come in from all angles and the tanks were not sieged up. All of these bio units are trapped and I don't think there is a way that Special can ever win this fight. He decides to evacuate with whatever he has left. At least he got a couple of Stalkers on the north side. But the only thing that Special had was an army supply advantage. Well, no more.
Third base is finished. Zest has the army count. His 2-2's almost done, but he doesn't even need to wait for it. He's going to reclaim absolute map control. Special desperately trying to counter. Very nice warp in. Zest shuts it down, and good recovery from the Korean Protoss player.
That was a clutch warp in by Zest. I loved it. He knew those units were still out there somewhere and probably had the feeling that Special would come back after Special saw the forces of Zest in the middle of the map. But it warped in a couple of Stalkers, shut it down, and that's all she wrote for game number 2. Obviously, I love the way that Zest played it. I think he had a great start. I think he had great map control. He really dictated this game from start to finish with the Zealots, with the Stalkers, with the Blink Stalker pressure. Only thing he could have done is perhaps take a bigger economic lead because he did have that freedom. But in the end, the hold was magnificent.
Yeah, a great hold from the Protoss player. Of course, Special there, not with the start that he wanted here to that second game, and I've got to think about it from Special's point of view. Early on, of course, he did go for an SCV scout just before the Reaper came out, so he could have chosen to keep the Reaper at home, but the conundrum, I think, there is that his SCV didn't scout the fact that it was only 1 gas in the main. So obviously, you see a delayed Nexus, you think, okay, there's going to be a faster Cybercore. There's 2 options. There's either faster tech you know, very fast Oracle opening being one of them. The other one is this opening, where you get a Zealot out, you get some Stalkers, and you look to slow down that command center. I think Special there, if he sees that sort of thing again, potentially pull the Reaper home, deal with that Zealot, because by the time the Stalker gets over there, you will finish the command center, and then you can make an orbital, lift it off if you need to, defend your ramp, right? The weak point is that SCV on the low ground being exposed, building the command center. That's where Zest built his advantage from.
Yeah, this is not something that you can pull off 3-4 times in a row against Special, but I still think it's so new from the Protoss side that I can't be too critical of Special. I mean, who rallies a random Zealot to the other side of the map to delay the command center, right? Like, everything you say, of course, Big, is spot on. And once again, Special, this is one of those reality check moments. It's like, okay, so this is a thing, and I'm probably never losing to this again, but I can't fault him too much for being caught off guard against that random Zealot, but it really worked out well for Zest. We saw a couple of cool results as well come by in the bottom side of the screen. Risky, taking out No Regret 2-1.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice that. Wow, that's actually a huge result.
What a great victory for that young British player who's still going strong. I also saw that Daishi took out Arctur 2-0, which I think is also a nice victory for old school Daishi.
Dude, that's a big one. But here we go, guys. We are going to be getting back into this series. It is a qualification match and one game away. Down here in the bottom right-hand side of Backwater, it is Special.
And on the left top side of this large map, looking at the main base of the amazing Korean Protoss player, is Zest. Qualification for the group stage is on the line. We are currently in the round of 72. But after today, there will only be 24 players left to compete for the title, becoming the next Intel Extreme Masters Katowice World Champion. Could be the same. TY is still in the running.
Oh yeah, man. There's so much money on the line as well, you know. We talk about qualification matches, like, yeah, also a couple $1,000 extra. Like, already
every
guys
round
have made
every round is big. Yeah, even Saul yesterday. Some people might be like, oh man, poor Saul, he got so close to qualifying. I'm sure he's really bummed out about it, but he still got more than $1,500 for getting that close to making it to the group stage. I just think that's amazing, and cannot emphasize enough on how important I think that is as well for the scene. You can't just pay out the top 8 and top 16, because then people will be demotivated and they'll stop coming to these events.
Exactly. You know, you've got to, of course, have those underdogs, those players coming up the ranks and getting, you know, a little bit of reward as they go for working their way up the rankings.
I'm sure it's tingling for you as well, Pig. If you look at this tournament, you'd be like, you know, win 2-3 rounds.
Hey, man. You
Could
know,
have been adding to that esports earnings.
Get the right bracket. Maybe my opponent's jet lagged a little bit. Maybe I can pull out a little cheese. Why not? Get some Ligulac rating going once again.
This is just a fantastic tournament for us as commentators, but I think for all the players as well. And it really shows the players seem very comfortable in the practice area whenever they're walking around. And even though this is such a
really cool environment for them,
it's such a massive, big tournament, but everybody seems so happy and relaxed that at the same time, I do feel it also allows them to play, you know, up to their fullest potential.
Get in that comfort zone. No lack of air conditioning here.
Where's that SCV going? Is he going to proxy the starport? I would really love to see him do that.
Oh, yeah.
I think this is one of the best builds. You open up with 4 Hellions, you rally these Hellions to the top side of the map, and then you have the medevac here. Because obviously, if the medevac is here immediately, the Hellions will be here. He's going to go for a Widowmine.
Yeah, and sometimes we even see like Liberator follow-ups, all sorts of things. Sometimes there's a delayed Banshee you can do. It really keeps the Protoss player guessing and opens up the potential for a lot of damage there. There is a second factory.
Okay. Juanito going old school with the build that he busted out against Neep multiple times last year, where he proxies the second factory and he gets a bunch of Cyclones.
This is crazy. And because just Widow Mines at home is just like, looks very defensive, looks very straightforward. And Zest, I mean, he's going for information, right? He's going for the observers off the robo opening. He's just going to be scouting around. I actually like that he opened up with the Adept as well, because already this kind of paints a picture of someone going for Stargate. Did the Reaper get in the main? I don't think it spotted the robo, did it?
It didn't get in the main because the pylon blocks the Reaper from entering. A single pylon blocks the Reaper from entering on this map.
That's actually so good, right? So,
yeah,
as
I love
Manito,
it.
you're
Great
probably
map design.
thinking there's got to be like an Oracle coming or something like that. Shout out to Avex. But yeah.
No, you're right. I
They
mean, this is
bounced back.
just obviously Zest is doing a good job in keeping Special in the dark and having that robo, but he gets a robo bait. That's not what he needs. He scouted it with the observer.
Oh,
Now you can just
man.
make immortals. Like you cancel the observer exactly, and you want to queue up your immortal, I think, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Why is he getting extra gates?
He might just... Okay, so two
Okay,
shield
there you
batteries at
go.
the front, an immortal coming down, yeah. And the problem here for Special is he doesn't know it's being scouted. There's no way he could tell that observer spotted that. So this is just going to be such a good planning here for Zest. He's going to be well prepared. That immortal being chrono boosted is almost there. The Stalks and Adepts already intercepting these units.
The Immortal's still a little bit late though. Maybe these Cyclones can get something done before Big Daddy Immortal shows up. That's a lot of Stalkers though. Zest is so far doing almost everything right. That Adept might fall, but the Adept is not that important as long as the shield batteries go up, and now the Immortal shows up. And I also love Big that he's getting a second Immortal. Even though he has a Robo Bay already, he knows that Immortals right now are the most important unit to have. And I think Special's gonna have to abandon this mission. He can't
Yeah,
fight this.
man. Immortals have this magic trick where they make Cyclones disappear. They just destroy them so quickly. Doesn't matter how much repair you go, the Immortal just blasts them to pieces. Like one Stalker's gone down. Great micro from Zest. And Special can't even retreat. These Marines are slow. He's taken so many losses here. And I mean, that's almost it. Special just has to tap out. GG.
Wow, one of the worst builds to go up against for Special, but what a good read by Zest. The Observer scouting that factory and immediately queuing up the Immortals. Man, what a way for Zest to turn his best of 3 around as well. A rough game 1, but a very solid game 2, and obviously a smooth sailing game 3.
Yeah, a little bit surprising after the way that first game went, but you can see both players not really just sitting back and playing standard. They both wanted to throw some curveballs. They wanted to catch each other by surprise. And in the end, it is going to be Zest that stands strong. We will be hearing from the man himself with an interview down with Smix in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
and welcome back, everybody, to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2018. In Bracket 3, we just had our first player qualify for the group stage, and it is, perhaps to no one's surprise, it's Zest. So first of all, congratulations, Zest, on qualifying. You were one of the favorites, definitely, for the Bracket 3, but yesterday we definitely saw some upsets where last year's Katowice Grand Finalist stats dropped out. So seeing a result like that, were you worried at all that perhaps maybe that could happen to you as well?
일단 진출 축하드리고요. 어저께 좀 놀랍게도 김대엽 선수가 작년에 결승전까지 갔는데도 떨어졌어요. 그래서 그걸 보고 아, 나도 떨어질 수 있겠다라는 걱정을 하셨나요?
일단 대엽이가 떨어진 건 좀 저한테도 좀 충격적이었는데, 근데 저는 해외 선수들 기량이 많이 올라왔다고 생각했기 때문에 뭐 남일이 아니라고 생각해서 더 집중해서 좋은 결과 나온 것 같아요.
So he says, definitely when I saw that Stats was knocked out, it was very surprising to me. That being said, when it comes to foreigners, I was already aware that they have improved so much. So I wasn't particularly surprised that he lost to a foreigner. And I just thought to myself, as long as I stay focused and make sure to stay concentrated when I'm playing against them, I think that was the reason that I was able to do well against Special. Now, when it came to Special, the only game you lost was game 1, and it just felt like nothing went your way. After that game was over, were you sort of caught off guard by that, or did it affect your mindset headed into the future games? 일단 그 첫 번째 경기밖에 안 졌는데 그 경기 지고 난 다음에 좀 당황하셨나요?
일단 3판 2선 승제이기 때문에 첫 경기 진 거는 당연히 부담감으로 다가왔고 최대한 그 여러 가지 빌드를 쓰려고 했는데 하필 첫 경기를 져가지고 좀 뒤에 2, 3세트에 대한 빌드가 걱정이 되긴 했지만 그래도 자신감 가지고 해서 좋은 결과 나온 것 같아요.
So he says, because it's a best of 3, losing that first game definitely puts a lot of pressure on me as a player. There was a lot of variety of builds that I really wanted to show, but losing that first game, it made me kind of worried about the builds that I would use in games 2 and 3, but luckily I was able to close those out and win the entire series. Now, Zest, I know that Katowice must be a special tournament for you because you are a previous champion of Katowice from 3 years ago. So coming into this year's Katowice event, what are your goals? 일단 3년 전에 카토비체 우승자였잖아요. 그래서 카토비체가 좀 약간 더 의미 있는 대회일 것 같은데 올해에는 무슨 목표가 뭐예요?
목표는 당연히 모든 메이저 대회, 작은 대회 가릴 거 없이 우승하는 게 목표인데 일단 월챔에서 15년도에 너무 그 팬분들의 환호가 아직도 기억에 생생히 남아가지고 그 기분을 다시 느끼고 싶어요. 이번 대회에서.
So he says, when it comes to 2018, my goal is definitely no matter what tournaments, big or small, to win. And when it comes to Katowice specifically, in 2015, I can't forget to this day the passion and the uproar from the fans in the crowd. And I really, really want to feel that presence and that passion once again. So that's what I really want to look forward to at this year's Katowice. So congratulations again, Zest, on qualifying for that group stage. James, back to you.
That's right, Zest is able to advance on to the round of 24. And we have many updates to bring you here from Command Hub Intel Extreme Masters. As Todd stares at me very intently and didn't realize he was on program. Hey! Let's check in with Artosis. Artosis, you did have Snoot versus Hellraiser. How did that go?
Yeah, I only got to catch game number 2 in there, but it was pretty one-sided. Hellraiser tried to do a 1 Immortal Mass Charge Lot 2 base all in.
Okay.
And Snoot likes to make queens and defend well. And he had a bunch of roaches and just kind of destroyed the attack. It wasn't very close, and cleaned that up and moves on.
Fair play, fair play. Initially, I did want to go over to Maynard now, but you are still kind of browsing through your game. Yep. It was a long game, so we're going to kind of skip you for the moment. And we're going to check in with Todd, who did have Kelazur versus Hero Marine.
Yeah. I had a fantastic drawing earlier, but then the games finally got started. Kelazur in game 1 tried for a Proxy Reaper, which was defended very effectively. Yeah. Hero Main, I warned you about him. Don't sleep on him. This guy, perfect counterattack, wins game number 1 swiftly. Game number 2, we can go into it. I just want to talk a little bit while it's paused, because I think what Hero Main did was beautiful. He made a lot of Cyclones, and I think that's because he had scouted the starports, and he hadn't been scouted at all. Kelazur had seen nothing. Right. So Hero Main, he's waiting for that Banshee to come, and when it finally comes here on his side of the map, he's already getting a turret, and he already knows he's going to defend this and then counterattack. So he cleans this up after a scan, heads across the map, and by this time, Kelazur is like, oh my god, I need a bunker. He starts it, but a bunker takes very long to get up. So Hero Main gets there, and he literally wins the game with just a couple Cyclones by killing this, or getting the cancel on that command center, killing a bunch of units there. He just gets so far ahead, his expansion already being up. Like, there is just almost no way for Kelazur to come back from there. So
right.
Very clean game, I would say, from Hero Marine.
That bunker takes too long. When's the bunker going to be patched again? That's my question. We never had enough bunker changes, I feel.
I agree with this. I think that the next patch we could look into that.
That's
More
right.
bunker rushes against Protoss.
Isn't Protoss doing not so hot against Terran this tournament? We heard something like that, right?
Oh no.
From Maynard was telling us about the Twitch chat before,
all right,
so
yeah.
Could be.
Well, let's check in with Maynard as well. Maynard, you did have Namshar versus Daishi, I believe.
I do, and not really the result that everyone would have expected. I mean, Namshar's been looking better and better and better every single WCS, and Daishi, he's an old school Terran, a long time between drinks for him. Sorry that I'm scrubbing so fast here, but this is probably the moment where, you know, it looked like Namshar had a shot in this game, but Daishi managed to keep his army supply really high. This is a big overextension from Namshar. He loses a lot of his army there. Namshar's messaging me right now. That's kind of rude, bro. I think he's probably just trying to get me into game 2, I suppose. But, you know, Namshar does have this army, but we can see that Daishi, you know, the writing is on the wall here. When you're up this far with a mech army here, he is just going to counterattack. He's going to find a nice little spot here, like in between these reinforcement points for Namshar. Siege up, and we are going to see a massacre. Look at the siege line. He can't get anywhere near it. He's got one blinding cloud left in him. And the mech is just going to do the rest, makes it happen.
The soup didn't lie here.
It did not at all.
Sure.
GG.
Hero Marine, by the way, is through. That was a qualifying match against Kelazor. This is a big deal.
Wow.
Impressive stuff.
Yeah, I guess Kelazor goes down that loser bracket, though. That's kind of a crazy loser bracket. Snoot and Kelazor are both down there right now. Bunny as well, right?
Yes, I believe so. In fact, we can check in with the bracket and get you up to date, as we do have Zest and Marine being able to qualify through to the round of 24. Hero Marine, what a road he's had there. No, indeed, he's a hero. That's for sure. We do have Kelazor and Special going to be sitting in that lower bracket number 4. And then we have Bunny versus Lambo. I think that might be our next match here on the mainstream.
Well, I'm in it in this one, so I don't think that's...
It's not our mainstream match.
Well, it's the laptop number 3 match, so...
Number 1.
Number 1 match. So I guess not. I guess not. But that means it must be maybe Snoot versus winner of Namshar Daishi?
I think so. I think so. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. It's time to go to a short break here at the Intel Extreme Masters. When we return, more StarCraft action. Let's go.
All eyes are on you. So give them greatness with Intel Extreme Masters certified PCs and notebooks and game like the pros. When you see the unique IEM certified stickers on the outside, you'll find high-grade components with Intel Core i5 and i7 processors inside. Every purchase includes in-game content and supports the prize pool of Intel Extreme Masters. Game like a pro, because the world is watching.
Ultimately, this trip could bring my career to the next level.
I'm not very worried about losing. I'm worried about missed opportunities.
I just scream and say yes twice. Yes! Yes! You try your best. You feel good about yourself.
So what's really going to separate them is decision making and strategizing.
This is the Oasis. It's a place where the limits of reality are your own imagination. You can do anything. I'm here talking to all of you now because our future's being threatened. In the Oasis,
I found something much bigger than myself. Ask yourselves, are you willing to fight?
Ready Player One. Only in cinemas.
we continue things here at the Intel Extreme Masters, we can get right into Daishi's game, in fact, as he is in the midst of things, currently one game up. Rotterdam, you have that on your laptop, and we can start casting it basically from here to keep everybody really up to schedule.
Yeah, Daishi is playing an excellent game. He did not one, not two, but 3 times cancel the fourth base on the right top side of the map with the double Tor drop, something that a lot of the meching Terrans really love. At the same time, he has Blue Flame Hellions driving around, and I actually think that he's taking control of this game. Of course, Namchar still has an army, has a tiny bit of a bank, but if he's not able to secure a fourth base, I mean, he has the right top side running right now, but I think that things are starting to look quite dire for Namchar. He just took a big fight as well, and he lost his Vipers. He did rebuild a couple of them. But Daishi's playing an excellent series. I am very impressed. I mean, it's a non-stop barbecue.
Yeah, that's huge. This is pretty brutal, man. We're almost at 30 drones killed here. And Zerg's in a scenario now where, I mean, they have the top of the map, but I don't see new expansions coming without walking right through a Terran push.
Yeah. I feel like the Zerg can stay up at 66, 70 workers. They can hang on forever against mech with Vipers if they take the right engagements, right? But when all of this damage happening to the eco, I feel like Namshar's falling behind, and oh, even more Hellions find their way in. That is brutal.
That's minus 40 drones.
Oh my God.
The last minute or so of this game.
It gets worse.
I am very impressed by Daishi. I did not have super high expectations of Daishi coming into this tournament. He's been around forever, and we of course know that he's made deep runs in the past, but I mean, he's playing a phenomenal tournament so far. He took out Arctur as well, who's one of these up-and-coming European Terran players, 2-0. And now he's really bringing it to Namchar. I'm afraid of the worst here for Namchar, who was so damn close to actually winning his match against Kalazur.
Oh, I think this might be the killing blow here. If these siege tanks are in siege mode, these Hydras, it's going to be very hard to engage without the use of the Vipers. The Vipers pretty far out.
If he would be able to blinding cloud those tanks.
That would be ridiculous. Yeah, blinding clouds from heaven. Maybe.
Just look at the supply, though. Namshar can't even max it out right now. And this is just so many Hellbats and tanks, even a Banshee being annoying in the top right. I mean, the creep spread is what's buying Namshar time. It's really the only thing keeping him alive right now. Daishi doesn't want to just kind of group up his army and headbutt. But look, he's continuing to branch off, and by wedging this position through the middle of the map, it allows him to pull Hellbats off, go into the natural expansion, and then another Hellion run by will be able to hit the right-hand side later on. And this just, once again, leaves Namshar exposed.
You having fun there, Roddy?
2 Evos. Or was it about the number 8?
That is my favorite number, actually,
Is this Sesame Street?
No, I mean, if those Evos would fall before 3-3 is done, then I'm super worried for Namchar. But Daishi is just so rich. Daishi can actually just keep throwing Hellions at Namchar, and Namchar is not able to replace those drones that he keeps losing left, right, and center. While Daishi is sitting very comfortable. I mean, he's taking this base now as well in the middle of the map. Everywhere you look on the mini-map, you see exclamation marks of Daishi attacking Namchar, and that's never a good sign of your Zerg.
He has zero pressure on Daishi's economy right now. He's got those 5 bases fully established. Viper's looking for some angles, these small squads of tanks and Hellbats being annoying. This time around, finally, Namshar gets a nice cleanup.
Yeah, it looks like, although there's center control here on the map, I guess that far left base, the one that's just a little bit south of the main for Namshar, is still not taking much of the beating. Actually, I wonder if Daishi should have really left these tanks out here. Seems like this is right for the picking now.
Yeah, where are the Vikings? I think they all went down.
Yeah.
There's only 2 Vikings here. Finally, the Vipers get to be super efficient, but I think Namshar's got to pull back. Yeah, he can't keep engaging into that tanks in the back.
There are so many tanks.
I can't believe it.
That tank line never ended.
I know, he lost like 4 or 5, and you're like, uh-oh, and then you scroll further down, it's like, never mind, guys. He's got plenty.
Yeah.
We've got more Vikings on the way. Range for the Liberators going to come in as well. Daishi's economy still looking pretty healthy. His bank has been eaten through. Namshar seems like he's just frozen here at 170 supply. He keeps rebuilding the drones as quickly as they are going down, so hats off to Namshar for trying to continue rebuilding that. But here comes another scary attack down the right-hand side. Namshar's army way out of position dealing with aliens. Are his Vipers, do they have energy? Where are they? He's got 5 Vipers still. They're pretty high on energy. That's a lot of the ducks or blinding clouds. But this army is going to be well set up by the time he gets over there.
Yeah, he should have some pretty good spacing here with these siege tanks sieging up. So it seems like Namshar is still going to try to come in here and actually...
he's got to
it's too late. Yeah, I mean, the hatchery is gone.
That tank spread's beautiful there. Anybody that's trying to engage around on it, it's so well done.
I mean, there's no great aspire, right? Like, often when Zerk is in this position, you're like, okay, even if he ends up losing a base, soon the Ultras will come out, or soon the Broodlords can show up, but it's none of that. It's just pure Hydra. And of course, if your fight control is perfect, then you can survive with this for a long time. But I have no idea how he's supposed to be aggressive against planetary fortresses and defensive tanks.
I am a little bit worried that there's too many tanks being hemorrhaged here. You know, the longer these tanks just stay sieged up here, the longer these other bases for Namshar go uncontested.
Kind of got to use the threat, right?
Yeah.
Maybe squeeze some more counterattacks down the left. There we go. I guess he is splitting his army up. He's saying, look, you're taking too long to clean that push up. Let's move down this side. The yellow circle army of death. Vikings, tanks, and Hellbats. Roddy, thank you for illustrating this, just in case people couldn't see where that army was.
I mean, not his entire army is going to go through this. I mean,
no.
Come on, this is a tiny choke point. This is going to be actually very tough for
the
these units.
tanks weren't quite in range, though, unfortunately.
But now the other tanks on the right top side are moving closer towards this base as well on the minimap.
The Vipers are all going to go down here, so even though Namshar takes a reasonable fight, at the same time, top right, tanks take down the third, and Namshar, he can't afford these trades. Daishi's still mining a ton. He's almost got his 3-3 finished. And 97 drones. Let's see if he can get the magic 100.
I think we will.
Yeah, I think for sure we will. I have to say, even though Namshar's done a pretty good job defending, I feel like he is beginning to split at the seams. That being said, I guess really Daishi has been denied a couple times here with a lot of these big pushes, but I'm worried that if Namshar doesn't do anything impressive really quickly here, there's not going to be any more options for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is ambitious. That planetary fortress taking down a lot of Hydras. The repair is strong, but not enough there. It does end up going down. The extra command center going to fall as well. Nice focus fire by Namshar.
Okay, that was a win there for him. Let's see if he can come up with anything else. It's going to be Namshar on 3 bases in a second here as this hatchery in the north should be taken out.
Yeah, these tanks could have actually been doing quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, I thought they were actually hitting it. I guess it's like in scan range. In fact, I think these drones, we're going to get to the lucky 100.
Oh, yeah. Drone's going to walk into those siege tanks vision. There we are. That's it. And the Viper's going to come in for revenge just a little bit too late. You know, Hydras and Vipers wreck siege tanks, but when there's more siege tanks than there are Hydras, it's kind of tough. Namshar is deep down a well of Zerg sadness right now. He's just struggling. He just doesn't have the numbers.
Daishi's playing really good, isn't he? I think a lot of people are very surprised by this. I mean, Namshar is a regular when it comes to the WCS circuit, often has very deep runs. He's one of those guys we always expect in the top 16 of a WCS stuff. But Daishi is really bringing it to him here, showing us that he didn't forget yet how to play StarCraft 2.
Yeah, and I don't believe there's actually much that Zerk can do other than tap out here. We're going to see the drone count get lower and lower. He's already at 36. A good chunk of those drones are just in range of those tanks, so they'll be driven out here shortly.
There's no more income,
see
right?
See that total units killed tab again, Roddy? I think we're going to see, 115 drones. Nice.
Close to 100 Hydras as well.
Oh, man. Ooh. Yeah, I think we're about to hit. Oh, that PV! The planetary, the parasitic bomb in the middle of those Liberators just takes them all down. But Roasty Toasty Hydras, Daishi with a 2-0 upset over Namshar. Wow.
Very nicely done.
Who would have possibly called that?
That's definitely an upset in my book, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at someone like Namshar, who admittedly devastated there by that loss as he is eliminated down in the lower bracket now. And you think about someone who does turn up regularly at the WCS circuit events, and even when we're commentating in qualifiers, he's regularly stacking up against the first and second place finishers in WCS circuits segments, like Valencia, like Montreal.
Now, Namshar is somebody that makes it through Challenger multiple times a year as well. That means he's placing top 4 in the European scene, and we all know that the European scene is pretty fierce, you know, when you have to go up against those other scary Zergs like Snoot, Elaser, Nurcho, Sero, of course. Yeah, shocking.
He's been there, man. He's so steady and solid. So, I mean, I didn't feel like he was playing bad in those games either. I feel like it was just Daishi playing really good.
Daishi actually playing the best I've seen him in quite a while. Is that fair to say?
No, absolutely.
the amount you've seen him playing in quite a while.
Yeah, no, we just haven't seen him, right? Every now and then he still shows up at an event very close to his hometown, but I would never have guessed that Daisy was able to take out Namchar 2-0. Now he's going up against Snoot. How cool is that?
It's pretty good, yeah. I mean, you forget, Pig. I do all the qualifiers. So when it came, I had the IEM Pyeongchang qualifiers to follow him through when it was a lot of Frenchies in the Western European qualifier. So
he has been grinding a little bit the last few months
absolutely.
then? All right, cool.
Yeah, definitely there. I think that we did have Bunny versus Lambert, but I don't think you were able to catch too much.
We were casting this one. I believe Bunny was going to close that one out.
Right, okay.
Have a win.
Okay.
But, I'm not in the next game, and I wasn't sure which game that was when we got here to the
that's
desk.
fine.
So.
We can get updates as we go to break and figure things out. We're not ready for a break just yet. So looking at the next matches coming up, of course, Snoot going up against Daishi, which I think will be on the main stream, and then we have maybe 2 or 3 more matches to cover here from this bracket. That's a pretty good match, especially considering what we just saw from Daishi.
Yeah, I mean, Snoot had such a slugfest with Hero Marine before. I actually thought he was going to win it. Walked away, came back and said, whoa, he lost that game. He lost that final game 3. It was so close for so long. It was neck and neck in resources lost for like half an hour or more. So Snoot obviously having a close brush there, unfortunately not going through. Hero Marine now qualified. I think he's going to look very good. You know, he's kind of the mech killer, right? So Daishi's going to have a tough time against Snoot.
I'm actually very impressed with Big Gape, as we like to call him in the European scene. Hero Marine just steamrolling his way through this bracket. This was not an easy bracket for him at all, but he took out Snoot and then he took out Kalazur in that deciders match. I think 2 series where a lot of people would look at Hero Marine as the underdog.
Right.
And we got a German Terran qualifying. I mean, very well done.
Well, let's check in with the bracket, actually, and we can kind of go over things. You want to say, hey, Tasteless?
No, I was just going to say, I guess we almost shouldn't be that surprised. The number of upsets we saw yesterday was pretty crazy, and we're already seeing that unfold here today.
And there you can see Snoot versus Daishi as the confirmed match. Kelazur versus Bunny actually will be going on. So that actually reaffirms the result that we do have from laptop number 1. And then Snoot versus Daishi will play against Special later on. So some really strong players still left alive here in this bracket, Rotterdam. Exciting things to come.
Yeah, only 1 out of those 4 very scary players is going to make it. I have no idea who or 5 actually. I have no idea who I should be looking at. I think a lot of people would still look at Special, but at the same time, would you pick Special over Bunny in a TVT?
I think I would. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. I've actually underestimated Bunny a lot.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I'm going to continue to do that and be wrong and never learn if he does in fact win there. I feel like Special's really getting to a level that is so impressive. I think, especially with like in the last year, particularly, it should be paying off here now.
All right, gentlemen, well, it's time. We're going to go to a short break, and then when we return, we're going to have Snoot going up against Daishi in just a second's time.
Predator puts power in your hands. You decide what to do with it. Summon your strength.
Welcome back. A few more matches to go here in bracket number 3 for day 2 of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. And I am joined on the desk. We have Tasteless, we have Pig, we have Rotterdam, and we don't really have many more matches to go here in bracket 3. We have one that Pig is currently in, which is Bunny versus Kelazar, but I think it's only just got started, right?
Yeah, we've just kicked off just the opening build orders. Nothing too crazy happening right now. We'll hop back in here, hopefully after a game or two, and we'll give some updates.
That's right. So now we can talk about really Daishi versus Snoot, and watching how Daishi, Tasteless, was just able to progress through that last series, you've got to give him a little bit of a chance. Normally you'd come in and say Snoot's the huge favorite, but that was impressive.
I mean, Daishi's definitely on a little bit of a roll. Will this be enough to beat Snoot? I personally don't think so. Snoot's had a bumpy last year. He's been off and on a little bit. You know, he's an emotional player. He cares a lot. But sometimes I think that can impact him in a negative way.
Okay.
If I had to make a guess here, I would still think Snoot should come out on top, though, in this series.
I mean, he took 2 second places in the WCS circuit last year around, so as much as... The funny thing is that we see that from someone like Snoot, and we're still like, well, when's the flame being rekindled? Because we expect him to be taking first places in some of these tournaments.
Yeah, like he did in 2016, right? When he won a big tournament in China, and then he also won the WCS Copa in Mexico. So, you know, obviously 2017 he didn't raise the trophy, but he still had a solid year in the end. He collected a lot of WCS points. Daishi, on the other hand, he really has been a little bit inactive in a way, even though he still played in some online tournaments. But then suddenly he was on a massive Overwatch run, and he played non-stop Overwatch for a couple weeks. Then he comes back to StarCraft again a little bit, and he says Terran is weak, and then he leaves again. I mean, it kind of shows as well, doing a little bit of history. Daishi used to be an absolute top-tier European Terran, and the way he played today obviously still is. But he's been a little invisible in this scene, because the last time that Daishi played against Snoot is in 2016. Now, Snoot plays a lot, so that means that if you play a lot as well, you're bound to run into him, right? The fact that they haven't played against each other in almost 2 years kind of tells a tale about Snoot's activity and Daishi's inactivity. And to make it perhaps even funnier, the last time that Daishi was able to beat Snoot in a competitive game, we have to go back to August 2013, so it's been a long time.
Definitely is a long time ago. And Pig, when you look at kind of Snoot compared to, say, Namsha, for example, they're not dissimilar in play style, but I think we always consider Snoot to have the more rounded and premium super late game play, so Daishi's got to be careful.
I like what you said, premium. I mean, I often think of Namsha as kind of like a younger, kind of, I want to be Snoot.
Okay.
He's kind of, he plays very similar to Snoot, but we do think of him as a lesser Snoot because he just hasn't been around the scene as many years. He hasn't won the championships that Snoot has won. So, you know, it is tough for him to, you overcome Namsha, that's good. It's the stepping stone, but Snoot's like the final boss here. He's going to be a much harder battle for Daishi.
Yeah, definitely. So looking at the 5 players here, it's going to be interesting to figure out who is going to advance. Let's head over to the commentary team as we get things going as Snoot goes up against Daishi.
G'day guys, welcome back. We've got ourselves a cracker of a series, Artosis.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to hear all those opinions, those wrong opinions at the desk, because Daishi is going to be able to take down Snoot here. I mean, that play against Namshar, amazing. I was just talking to Todd. Apparently, Daishi is beating basically all of the top European Zergs. Like, really only Serral is taking him out. He feels completely confident in his mech play against Zerg. And even though Snoot is a great late-game macro player, if that's the way that Daishi's feeling, because this guy, he doesn't exude confidence normally. Like, even though he's a very talented player, very good player, if he's saying he's able to win after taking out Namshar like that, one of the most underrated players in the European scene, in my opinion, I think he's got it, man. I think he's going to be able to take down Snoot.
And that's the thing. Namshar is underrated by the community at large. He is absolutely worth a lot more praise than what he gets right now. And Namshar looks better and better. He went all the way to Game 5 against Special in WCS, which is absolutely incredible. But in the end, Daishi giving him a 2-0. Now, that speaks volumes.
It does.
At the caliber of Daishi's late-game TVZ mech play. We saw it. We saw the tail end of it, at least. I saw Game 1 on my laptop on the desk. And he looked like there actually wasn't a moment where Namshar was ahead at any point. Daishi's run by his late game is just too good. But let's introduce our first player in the top right. From Team Liquid, the Norwegian Zerg. This is Snoot.
One of the greatest foreigners of all time.
Definitely. Ooh, bit of a shaky start for this guy.
Whoa.
In the bottom left from Armor Team, the French Terran. This is Daishi.
And, you know, as Roddy was saying, Daishi is not, like, always super active or anything, which makes me kind of sad because whenever he is quite active, he becomes one of the top non-Korean Terrans pretty quickly. He's also kind of, like, got a big personality as well. I really enjoyed when he was one of the guys that was always at the events because he just, like, I don't know, he's got some flair to him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, very outspoken, fun to talk to, like, you know, he's funny. And yeah, it's cool to see him back. Honestly, you know, Daishi's not been on the minds of the community for a very long time, but certainly he's been turning heads here in Katowice. Roddy said that he's trying to break a, you know, yes, they haven't met since 2016, but he hasn't beaten Snoot since 2013. And that is a hell of a streak to overcome if that is indeed.
I look at it the other way. He's due.
It's due.
You can't keep that up forever.
Well, that's what I felt.
It's like that saying, right? Like, when Dark lost to a non-Korean, it's like nobody goes 27-0 against foreigners and lives to tell the tale. That was like the greatest.
We'll
I think
get
that
you
was
back.
I think Wax said that. That was so
that was one of Wax's greatest tweets of all time. We have a fast expand build here from Daishi. Pretty regular play from both players, of course. Snoot does actually enjoy, you know, just getting the gas for speed. Doesn't really rely on Overlord speed too much, but likes to get Zergling speed and then just pull the drones out of gas, get that mineral income, and get tons of Queens, drones, and hatcheries out. He's very, very solid with that heavy Queen defense.
Yeah, that is something he's very well known for, and his creep spread is truly second to none. I mean, it's wild to watch Snoot spread his creep.
Yeah,
you know, I think that this is going to be a magnificent series. I would say there is a 100% chance that Daishi will be going for mech play unless he does some sort of all-in, you know, proxy rack, something like that.
Yeah, possible.
But I don't think we'll even see that if he's this confident in his mech play. And we saw that last game, like, Namshar kills like 15 tanks and there's 15 more. It's like, how many?
That's right.
How many tech lab factories do you have, Daishi? What is going on here?
As we can see, like zero gassy for Snoot, so he's just going all on mineral income right now. Trying to delay the CC, and so far doing a very good job of it. May get this SCV as well. No, the Reaper comes back, will keep that SCV alive by shepherding it a little bit, but pulls him back to this side of the map, giving Snoot a bit of breathing room. And Daishi dropped an engineering bay, left it almost completely built there so we can cancel it later, but that is the comfortable third for Zerg. Zerg doesn't want to expand in a triangle for a third base. That is an easily pushed location for Terran generally. That's
some wisdom you're giving us there about the triangle.
You're welcome.
I've never heard it worded like that, but I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, generally the maps are sort of like laid out that way. A lot of the maps in this ladder map pool where you can, you know, expand in a triangle pattern or in a straight line, and Zerg definitely want to be along the edge of the map away from the Terran player.
Yeah, no question about that. You don't want to go closer. You don't want them pushing down a hill into your base.
No, definitely.
Pretty hard to hold on to. Some decent scouting going on here with the Reaper.
Reaper's still alive, getting information, and everything's pretty regular in Snoot Town. He's not hiding any tech, no fast roach or anything like that, which is what Daishi's really looking out for. He's not generally going to get damaged done with the first getting Reaper, which is killed, by the way, so that's a nice pick off there for Snoot. And Daishi is... he's made one engineering bay. Sorry, that's the blocking one.
Yeah,
so he hasn't cancelled that just yet. So, you know, very likely going to be mech play from Daishi. He's been doing it so well. He got Viking first, going into Banshee now, so the Viking's going to start picking away at these Overlords and denying some vision here for Snoot, and also, you know, if he's really lucky, supply blocking him, but this is Snoot we're talking about. I very much doubt it.
Yeah, if it is a supply block, it won't be for very long, just moments. But look, still continued Hellion production. There is a Roach Horn on the way, so that's pretty Snootish. You know, Snootish, actually. That is a word, isn't it?
Let's just say that it is.
Yeah.
Let's just say that it is. Well, I like what you mean. Like, the Snoot style in ZVT is he still flies the flag for Roach Ravager. Most Zergs want to go Lingbane Hydra. They feel like that's just better all around. But Snoot still thinks that Roaches are, you know, definitely viable. And they certainly can be.
He's certainly not interested in losing to things like Hellions or Hellbats. And Roaches are a very good way to make sure that you do not lose to those. And with 5 Roaches on the way, some additional Lings, and of course the big amount of Queens that he always has, should be able to hold off all this harassment, even if he goes into Hellbat play, which looks likely with this armory starting up.
Yeah, Hellbat play with Banshees to help him out, of course, as well. That do have Cloak now. These Hellions getting really, really low, and one of them nearly dies to that Queen. See this Banshee coming around the outside, maybe going to go straight for the drone line. Snoot sees that with the Overlord as the Viking starts to work on killing it here. These Hellbats, or Hellions rather, are quite softened up. So these Roaches should be able to deal with this if he just waits for him to come on creep a little bit deeper here.
Attacking up that hill, pushing them back for the time being. Cloaked Banshee flying around. Another Overlord getting picked off, being very on top of things with this Viking. Of course, the double Evos are upgrading, as well as that single armory, but Daishi continuing to add on its infrastructure. Hasn't landed that third command center yet. Got to be a little bit careful about when he puts that down.
Banshee's putting in work here for Daishi, and it's microing around the Spore Crawler here. And the Banshee does live, gets 4 drones to tell the tale. And that supply block we were worried about actually did happen for Snoot there. So it was a while he couldn't make units, but he is catching some of Daishi's units out here at the front of his natural.
All right, this little counterattack coming up, and is he ready? Yeah, with the Banshee coming back, it seems like Snoot won't be able to get too much done here. Leaves a couple roaches there to have to deal with while running everything else away.
Well, that's why you got to make the Banshee with this, right? Like, if you don't have the Banshee, then roaches just kill you. Hellions and even in Inferno and Hellbat mode are not great against a huge number of roaches.
Quite right about that. Now, layer about halfway done, as well as those upgrades. Some siege tanks being created. Definitely going to need a few of those to really make sure he can secure that third base. The Banshees alone flying there are not really what you want. You want to send those back out of the map, see if you can get some more harassment done. Meanwhile, Snoot taking a 4th base. What do you think about this as the 4th base, based upon where he had to take his 3rd?
I mean, I don't know. It kind of seems all right because, especially considering there's so many active creep tumors up there as well. We just saw some active creep tumors down here, but here's the rest of them. These are where the Queens are paying attention.
Yeah.
He wants a big creep highway down here on this 4th base, and if he has that, then I don't mind it. But especially if he knocks down these rocks, then he can get a flank on a tank position.
Let me tell you, the more you say that, the more I think about this. I really like the fact that this is going to be his 4th, because why don't you really like your 3rd base to be that kind of triangle spot, right? It's because you don't want your opponent to be able to push down, push downhill. There's multiple ramps if you open up those rocks and everything. But if you are really focusing up there on your creep spread and everything, they can't attack your 3rd, right? So that, I think that's quite a nice spot for him to expand to, and it kind of shows the flexibility and intelligence of Snoot.
Daishi just making sure that Snoot's not trying to sneak his extra hatchery on him here, that he's keeping him honest at 4 bases. Lovely catch here with a flank from Snoot, getting rid of all these Hellions. There goes the harassment potential and map control for Daishi.
That was like a perfect Zergling group sitting there waiting. He knew something like that was likely to occur. And now with these roaches pushing across the map, well, with the Banshees coming, they have to turn tail and run.
It looks so funny because there's so many of them and there's only 2 Banshees, but it is true. Like, the Banshees will eventually deal with them. Snoot hasn't morphed any Ravages just yet. It looks like his anti-air is just going to be the Hydras, and he is gunning for a Spire as well. So the Spire could be for fast Broodlords, which is certainly something that Snoot's been a staple of many of his tournament victories against Terran. Hydras do tend to do the job up until that point.
Well, it's Snoot, so it doesn't have too many Hydras at the moment. It definitely has a very heavy Roach army, but that goes well underneath the Broodlords also. Just a lot of beef there. The Broodlords can deal with those siege tanks pretty darn well. So I'm liking that there hasn't been a lot of damage on either side. There was a little bit of harassment there by Daishi, but Snoot has blocked everything well enough. He's got great creep spread. He's up to his 4 bases, getting that hive tech. And I feel like we're going to have a long, epic game here, Maynard.
I agree. So we are going to see that late game that a lot of guys would have expected to see. A couple pickoffs here for Snoot. He's gotten rid of the Viking and the 2 Banshees that were sharking around the map. So that's nice. He doesn't worry about that harassment anymore. And there's that great Aspire, as we kind of predicted here with the Vipers coming up. Snoot pushing for that late game. He's forced it, and Daishi will be more than happy to meet him there.
Yeah, a couple more starports on the way, some Vikings coming out as well, so he's really preparing for those Broodlords. Also, of course, the Vipers can be zoned out a bit with that. Quite a few siege tanks with a good spread, but...
Oh, that's a kill.
Yeah, look at that. Pretty nice, I would say. Doesn't really need those roaches as much anymore. Look at this, 7 spines on the way. That's cool, man. I like to see moves like this where you're putting down a lot of extra static D, because the game gets big. Yeah, look at that. This is perfect, because as this game gets big and he gets a Broodlord-based army, that's a death ball. You have to keep your units mostly together underneath the Broodlords. So if he just keeps those units together, suddenly Blue Flame Hellions are going to run up and roast every drone you have. So Snoot, he's like, well, I'll spend 7 drones, right? Make these spines. Make that be a punish if he tries to do that harassment.
And Daishi's making some adjustments here. He's playing the player and not the matchup right now. He's putting a lot of starports down to get a big Viking cluster to deal with Broodlords. But speaking of the Viking cluster, he's taking a bit of damage on those Vikings here, but is starting to leapfrog those siege tanks and push on the edge of that creep. Snoot needs to take this very seriously.
Yeah, he's making an arc. He's pulling back, trying to hit before tanks siege up. But Daishi, look at the leapfrogging going on here. Sieging a few tanks, moving a few tanks forward, bringing them up from behind. Now, actually using Parasitic Bomb there. A little bit surprised to see that. Oh, it's because the Broodlords are morphing. So Daishi pushing in right now. He doesn't have much anti-air to deal with these Broodlords.
Yeah, quite right. In fact, a couple of the Vikings are going down. He only has 3 of them. Luckily for Daishi, Snoot doesn't have any air upgrades on these Broodlords just yet, so they are a little squishy, but not for long here. The Vikings are starting to work on the Broodlords, but even Queen's in the low ground, picking off the low hit point Vikings, and the tanks have to unsiege and get out of here.
The Broodlord's doing a fantastic job. Daishi has to turn tail and run, being chased down as well as he gets out of here. A hot pickup there on some of his siege tanks. Oh my God.
Clouds.
Beautiful blinding clouds here, and he's going to clean up so many siege tanks. Just, I mean, a clinic on ZVT against mech here by Snoot.
Snoot is so damn good. There's that Carapace on the way for the flying units as he pushes on this planetary. Doesn't want to overextend too much. He loses a few of his units, but certainly Snoot taking a great fight there. And now the Broodlords are here, and he's going to try and slow push this and further his advantage.
Okay, there are a few Vikings out here. The anti-air consists mostly of these Hydras, so the Vikings can definitely push everything back. A few Queens coming up.
I think he's starting to overextend here. These Broodlords are starting to go down to these Vikings. The Vipers aren't here to parasitic bomb these Vikings either. A couple Queens are nice, but the Vikings just start to step back to the tank line, and they're going to be fine.
Oh, nice transfuse there as well, keeping alive the Overseer. Snoot backing back up, getting onto his creep. Look at that creep spread. Look at the mini-map in the bottom left. This is crazy. I don't know how he finds time to do such things.
Oh man, as a Terran player myself, I'm trying to choke back my vomit and cast this game, but that is so much creep spread here on Blackpink. He has the map in his back pocket and is up to Daishi to try and break through with a big death ball of mech. He does have 3-3 on the way here, but it's a little way off. +3 attack though, about to finish, and that's going to be some powerful tanks.
Oh my God. I mean, we have all the different tech on the way right now.
Oh, Daishi moving out here.
Yeah, a little bit surprised to see that. He has a good amount of Vikings, so trying to get on top of everything before all of these crawlers finish. A lot of spores and spines on the way, but being forced back a little bit once again.
Some of the crop that's getting picked off here. There's a potential Broodlords getting removed here for Snoot. Daishi still with a fair bit of army left over here. And even the Hellbats are actually starting to mince away these Broodlings and keep the tanks alive, which is their job, basically, to be the linebackers for the tank line.
That Fusion Core going to be finishing up. We have seen a little bit of battle cruisers lately.
Yeah,
we'll
that was
see
cool.
I mean, of course, this could be to get some Liberator range as well. Daishi did finish Namshar with a lot of Liberators.
Yeah,
but this is a mostly like air-based army as far as strength goes for Snoot.
That is quite true, and you can see he's banking on those air upgrades as well, just starting +1 attack as I say that. He already has Carapace, +2 Carapace of the way, double Spire for Snoot, so he really wants a Corruptor and Broodlord Deathball here with the Hydras on the low ground to pick off those mech units. Parasitic Bomb dropped on those Vikings. Instant split there from Daishi, though, to get those hurt Vikings out of there.
Yeah, one of them goes back towards the swarm of Vikings. He's got to be very careful about that. He needs to eliminate these Broodlords before they kill all the siege tanks.
And there goes 2 of them.
Yeah, the Queens underneath doing a great job trying to zone these back. Also can use their transfusions.
I think they're actually quite low in energy, though, when I just saw the edge of those Queens there. Yeah, they are. So not a ton of transfusions available, but there are certainly some. The Vipers are going to be very critical here for Snoot with this push. They are meant to Blinding Cloud and abduct as per needed. Daishi feeling so confident here with his army, he's starting to move towards this Spore Crawler forest.
Yeah, just kind of attack moving forward right now, not sieging up. Maybe a little bit afraid of his own splash damage here. The Vikings coming in from the side.
I think this engagement's going pretty well for Daishi so far. Still so many of the Vikings are left alive. Every volley one-shotting a Broodlord here.
Oh, wow, this is really well done by Daishi. It felt so many times this game like Snoot is winning. And I mean, you look at the map, it's no longer black-pink, it's purple-blue, but still, Daishi has a huge amount of workers. His army is maxed out almost consistently throughout the game. Great upgrades, great composition. Just fantastic play out of our French Terran.
And he's continuing to get upgrades as well. He's just backering beautifully. He still has, he's approaching maxed here and still with a bit of a bank, but look at Snoot's bank. It's not what you would expect to see Snoot at this point of his EVT. He would normally be on 2K minerals, 1.5K gas or something like that. And there's that Hellion run by here with the Blue Flame, something that Namshar struggled against, but Snoot doing a pretty good job at cleaning this up so far.
As you say that, more and more drones die there in the natural. Still finding a little bit of damage here, but the Broodlord's going to go ahead and hit this planetary. He definitely wants to save this.
And there's a potential juicy parasitic bomb here for that Viper. The tanks are just coming up here. They're not even siege mode. They're just DPSing down these Broodlings. There's that parasitic bomb, but instant splits again from Daishi to keep these Vikings alive.
Wow, really swift micro from Daishi coming out here with those Vikings. what flexible play, and I love how he's not even sieging up. He knows the power of his fully upgraded mech here. Pushing forward, attacking. I mean, I'm getting chills, man. Daishi is really bringing it here, but you cannot count out Snoot. Again, look at this map. It's wild.
Yeah, it's not over yet. That's certainly true. The Queens with a bit more transfusions on them, but they are starting to be in tank range here. Daishi leaving a lot of his tanks unsieged. Saying like 20% of them are sieged up at the moment. Liberator's starting to join in. Another parasitic bomb. Daishi once again with nice micro on his Vikings to keep them back. Hydras are actually catching some of these Vikings. Oh no! Daishi losing a few of these very crucial air units. Still so many Broodlords alive for Snoot, and he's pressing the issue.
Yeah, the Broodlords are really starting to clean up right now. Vikings coming back, pushing them back. They dance back and forth. The Hydras have to hit these Vikings, but the Siege Tanks murder them. This is getting wild. Refilling the energy on these Vipers. He definitely needs them a bit more. Those parasitic bombs are so clutch.
Absolutely. The Vikings are something that's going to be the death nail for Snoot's army, as he did invest so heavily in air. Look at him. He's just continuing to make Corruptors and Broodlords. Nothing else except for Queens. He's getting +3 as well to help out those Broodlings to make them a little bit more damage. But just the Vikings getting replenished over and over here for Daishi as +2 finishes for them. That's too many spine crawlers, mate.
Yeah.
this run by is not happening.
No, that's what we were kind of talking about before. Daishi is trying to find a way in, get some extra damage done. Nope, he invested in those spines earlier, and they are doing their job.
Daishi starting to throw in Ghosts as well. The ultimate late game unit composition with Liberator and Ghost. Those +3 Liberators with those Vikings to help them out are going to destroy everything on the ground. And those Ghosts are going to take they're going to basically like high five, slap those Vikings and take their job and go, I got this from here. Going to snipe those Broodlords from the sky.
I'm interested though, because he's making Ghosts out of one barracks. So
maybe Nuke.
It could be Nuke, and I think also there's a possibility we could see him try to EMP these Vipers a little bit. Like, I don't know, we'll see. Like, one snipe isn't very good, but I mean, over time, this game definitely can go on for another 20 minutes at this rate. You know, he will build up a decent Ghost count.
Absolutely, he seems to be happy with his air units at the moment, his composition. Broodlord certainly hugely a number here for Snoot. That is a scary army. It took my breath away for a second there. We got the creep tumor push here. Oh, nice catch getting rid of one of those Liberators. Very lucky there for Snoot, unlucky for Daishi. Daishi lifts that CC. He doesn't even want to tussle here without his army being in position.
Yeah, the Broodlord's coming forward, though. This Planetary will not be long for this world if he doesn't get up there to defend it. The Siege Tanks going forward. Great blinding clouds going down. Very interesting choice there by Snoot. He goes forward. The parasitic bombs get these Vikings.
The Vipers are dying to the Vikings as well. So that's it for the parasitic bombs and for the blinding clouds right now. But Snoot is starting to push Daishi back. A lot of these tanks are not sieged. Liberators are coming forward to drop their liberation zones on the ground here. The Broodlords are coming forward, but the tanks are still, the Vikings are still alive. And remember, no more parasitic bombs. Can Snoot break through?
There's so many Broodlings here. It's really hard for the Siege Tanks to actually clear anything. Snoot pushing forward here might be able to get the victory. Daishi's supply is absolutely plummeting. What fantastic play coming out of Snoot.
Absolutely. The Vikings getting thinned out as well. Daishi's army supply took a massive hit there. And this Liberator actually taking a ton of damage from that Spore Crawler before he gets any further into the Zerg infrastructure. The Queen going to do the rest. And Daishi on the back foot, he has to replenish his army and keep the CC alive, but with his Broodlings, that is not happening.
No, this is getting very tough. Losing this base in the bottom right before it's mined out. He's trying to float a command center up towards the top left, but there's too much creep. He can't even land it there. Here we have a command center that's like in the most hilarious spot up on the high ground. No creep there yet, so he does drop off his mules, but he's not even maxed out anymore.
And Daishi actually messing around with his composition a little bit, realizing that maybe he needs a few more Hellbats to deal with those Broodlings a little bit. You know, have that buffer between the tank line and the Hellbats. Still continuing to produce Ghosts one at a time here. And really prioritizing Viking production. He's very, very afraid of that air army. He should be, too.
Well, that air army is about to have +3 carapace, so, I mean, that's... That's about as sturdy as you can really get. Of course, he does have his +3 for his Vikings as well, but... Like, Snoot's dancing has been out of control. The Viper play, the moving back and forth with Queens and Hydras. Daishi's just having a hard time, especially with how high the Broodlord count is.
+3 Vikings landed here being annoying. And even EMPing these Queens. He's sick of these transfusions, sick of these Queens being useful all game long. And Daishi just desperately trying to hold on to his little base here, but he doesn't have any units up, or not many units up, to deal with the top here. Yes, he can deal with the Broodlords of these Vikings, which are actually all by themselves here. A couple of them go down, but...
Well, parasitic bombs coming out, 2 of them on those Vikings. They have to be pulled off, get picked off in a matter of seconds. But hey, these Vikings getting a lot of value right now.
Yeah, the Hydras look very scary for Dacian, but it gives him time to get his army into position to deal with the Hydras, and he killed like 3 or 4 Broodlords there. It's very nice.
Absolutely. They're going to share this space.
Howdy, neighbor.
Yeah. It's like, listen, we both need more minerals to keep this crazy macro game going. Let's just, we'll both mine. It's fine.
This is for the fans.
Yeah.
All right, so this push here from Daishi. Now he's got a lot of energy on these ghosts, even sniping some of these Hydralisks down. I don't mind that, actually. You know, you don't expect snipes with this low of a ghost count, but they are doing work. That's free damage there for spell usage, so that's what you want to do in the late game. Oh, did he not get +1 air weapons? I thought he researched that a little bit ago. He must have canceled it.
3 Hydras ruining the little party that we have down here. Daishi gonna have to fly this away. It is going to be killed off pretty easily by those Hydras.
Yeah.
But Daishi has expanded towards the top here once again. So still trying to stay in it, but Snoot is starting to grow his bank.
Yeah, he's starting to spiral out of control here. That bank situation has switched on its head. Oh, a couple of Vipers dying to these ghosts here. Some snipes going down the Queens, but I don't know about that. I think the juicier target's definitely the Broodlords and the Vipers, of course. Oh, this run by, even with 3 Spine Crawlers, is going to get a lot of drone damage.
Wow, Daishi. I mean, when he fell down to like 130 supply and had no bank, I thought the game was going to end, to be honest. I wasn't going to be like, oh, the game's over. But it really felt like it at that point. And look at Daishi. Well, I guess he is still at 130. But is he not fighting back valiantly with what he has?
Well, the thing we're looking at here is the army supply, right? And the composition here for Daishi. I've seen mech players be 40 army supply down on the late game Zerg and still win. Yeah. I've seen Special do it in WCS even. And Daishi...
Did he do it against Snoot, though?
It may have actually been.
Wow. Yeah, I guess they actually play all the time.
They play quite a bit in WCS.
And they might be playing next if Snoot can take this one down.
Very true. So Daishi's got some SCVs here just repairing up. The Vipers are joining in the field again. This one very low in energy. You're going to have to find something to suck that juice out of and get tanked up, ready to engage. Daishi, actually, I love that he's starting to make turrets now as well. Just lock down his position and make it tough for Snoot to float those Broodlords over and have a big engagement. Yeah, purple-blue, the map name.
Purple-blue, man.
Still in control here.
I hope they play Neon Violet Square next so that it can actually be a blue-violet circle, because creep tumors are circles.
It's a stretch there, Artosis, but I'll let you have it. We got a little bit of a Hellion run by here. Not a whole lot to see here for Snoot as far as defenses go. These Spine Crawlers not quite done. Some of these drones getting caught on the rally over.
Dude, I love that he's setting up these fringe bases, and he's just like, no, we're gonna get a lot of spines at him. He doesn't want to have to deal with this. And again, it's so brilliant. This is why he's so good at the late game, or part of it at least, because he knows he's playing with death ball type compositions. He can't be sending units over every time Hellions show up.
Remember when Daishi was 60, 70 supply down, Artosis?
Yeah.
Well, he's killing a ton of drones, and in fact, he's catching Hydralisks with the Hellions as well, which we saw a little bit ago. Still killing more and more drones and throwing away minerals. That does kind of suck for Daishi, to be honest, because he doesn't have much of a bank, but it is really about these high gas units for the mech player in the end.
Oh, and he's landed another command center in the top left. So many mules coming down, trying to suck up those resources as quickly as possible. But a mass changeling attack comes in.
He's like, wait, 10 Marines?
They'll clog the minerals. He's like, I'm not going bio. What's going on? I forgot combat shields?
Oh, EMP there on that Infesta is quite nice.
Oh, God, yeah. Well, that's important, too, right? Like, if a Fungal gets off on these Vikings, the game ends immediately.
Well, the Fungals also exist to interrupt the Ghost Snipe, which is another thing you have to take very seriously when there's a big number of Ghosts.
Oh, those 3 Hydras are back for another command center.
The 3-brother hit squad there for those Hydras. They've killed 1 CC. They're ready for a second one.
3 Hydra tears.
They're actually doing a ton of damage here for Daishi. He needs to actually deal with this.
Even just the lost mining time on these mules is pretty wild.
All right, he will get rid of them, so they pay for it in blood. Broodlord's finding an opening here, but again, the Vikings just always here for Daishi. Oh, man, Daishi pushing the turrets, and the Spore Crawler is doing a lot of damage on the Vikings as well.
Yeah, and you see those Infestors crawling up towards the front, looking for those juicy, juicy Fungals.
Absolutely.
More Hydras kind of poking up, but he does have good defense up there. I mean, there is so much tension in this part of the map that you could cut it with a knife. At any moment, this game could swing one way or the other. Now, Snoot has an okay bank, but it's not gas-based. So even if, if he loses his army, yeah, he has minerals, but what does he do? He makes Zerglings. What are you going to do with those Zerglings?
Yeah.
Are you going to kill 2 Blue Flame Hellbats and then lose them all?
He doesn't have an Adrenal, so it'd be a bunch of 3/3 links.
Oh, God.
All right, so this army for Snoot, really both players cannot lose their army anymore. Daishi doesn't have any kind of bank really to speak of, and Snoot, without the gas bank, will only be able to remax on things that aren't very useful. The Hellions coming in again, killing more drones. Just a couple though. Too many spine crawlers.
It's hard. It's hard. That's a lot of spines. He's got to send one siege tank with him. That's the thing. Really annoys Snoot at that point. He's going to have to leave a Broodlord over there. That's where the meta starts in. Then it's like a 1 Viking, 1 tank, 2 Hellion hit squad.
Snoot's actually going to about to run out of map to creep here in a minute. Like he is actually, he's got so many active creature miss still that it just shows how great his multitask is. You know, trying to dance with a Terran while continuing to spread creep. These 3 ghosts actually could kill this, but they're just taking a smoke break, and that's okay. Everyone needs to relax from time to time. It has been a long game.
Well, some more snipes coming down. He will start to clear that. Nice little volley there from the Broodlords, trying to get some damage in, but he's got to be careful. Again, he can't really replace too many. His gas bank right now at 500, still adding in Broods, Hydras, you know, anything he can as he gains that gas. God, it's just, this game is so wild.
We're almost at 30 minutes here for game number 1. Artosis, remember, this is actually game 1, guys. Oh, that's so many Vikings. The parasitic bomb's going down. Daishi's been very good at splitting his Vikings, except for right now. That's a little bit of a tough split here, especially with the Bungles. The Viper's going to give him more parasitic bombs to these Vikings, and they're getting a ton of damage done.
Oh my God, the Vikings getting cleaned up so hard right now. Some great Fungals coming out. Unlimited Broodlings as well. Even the Ghosts getting surrounded and killed off here. But still, Vikings remain, starting to pick off quite a few of these. The Queen's a little bit lazy, finally coming forward and throwing down those transfusions.
And they're starting to get up into this fight now. There's a lovely Fungal, and these Vikings are actually so low in hit points, Artosis. This might be it for Daishi. He's fought so valiantly, but Snoot is pushing forward. He's losing tons of drones back at home. Can Daishi hold on and live here? Snoot doesn't have much of an economy to go back to. He does, however, have a ton of Zerg army.
Oh my God, he spends his entire bank. Daishi's supply has plummeted. Not that much left for Snoot, but at least he's got some bases, right? Well, does he? Does he really? 26 drones going down there. So both of their economies being shattered, but the standing army of Snoot is far scarier than this little podunk army of Daishi.
It does certainly feel like Snoot's got this in the bag at this point. The Broodlords are all still alive, and the SCVs, whatever remains of Daishi's army is going down. It's going to recall them. Yeah, maybe in a future patch.
Wait, do those SCVs just have to die? There's no way to get them out?
Yes.
Oh.
What a horrible way to go.
It's
Watching your brothers die in front of you as the Broodlords get closer and closer to you.
Like, raise my little white flag. I'll become a Zerg. It's fine.
Infest me, please. Well, that's gonna be tough now for Daishi to get this job done. He is down quite a bit in every single regard at this point. No income at the moment for Daishi at all, actually. So he's just sitting here with 26 minerals in the bank, 74 gas in the bank, and a dream. But I think that dream is a nightmare. There's just too much Zerg here.
Well, he's clearing anything that he can at the moment, but like, okay, so 7 Vikings. Can 7 Vikings beat 14 Queens? Like 2 Vipers, 3 Infestors, 6 Corruptors. Because if they can, 9 Hydras. Because if they can kill the Broodlords.
Well, here come as many Corruptors as there are Vikings, and they just go down. Like honestly, the Hydras and the Infestors can take a rest here. And let the Corruptors do the whole job for Daishi. Oh, he cannot lose anything, Daishi, right now, and he does get caught here by Snoot's Hydra army, losing a couple of those Hellions. Well, this Liberator finding a juicy spot, but honestly, like, killing drones is nice, but if Snoot decides to attack at any point, that's what I'm really worried about here, Daishi.
Well, you know, I think Snoot is going to attack. He has to know at this point that there's nothing really left for Daishi.
That is a cash money Liberator right there, but Snoot, yeah, he spirals out of control, gets that game, GG. Writing was on the roll there about 5 minutes before Daishi tapped out, but what a showing from Daishi. I actually think this could be a tied series, maybe not even a Snoot victory in the end.
I don't even know. Like, Snoot won that game, and it was one of the better late game ZVTs I've ever seen him play it amongst many late game ZVTs. It was like a beautiful thing of art, but like the fact that it felt like Snoot was ahead early on and Daishi still fought back to that degree. If anything goes wrong for Snoot before that Supreme late game, it's hard to imagine Daishi not taking it.
Man, imagine if Daishi didn't lose that 60-70 army supply. If he took a bit good engagement in the middle map, he just wouldn't have fallen behind at all.
No.
He was down 130 versus a maxed out Zerg, and then managed to get maxed out all over again.
Yeah, I mean, it took a while, but he really persevered. He really knows how to fight in these battles. And like that one battle that Snoot really started to take the lead with, where there was like literally just too many broodlings. His tanks, you know, out of siege mode were having a hard time, and the Hydras were dealing this extra damage. It was a tough situation, but that's a very tough one to get into, to get up to that many broodlords in this way. Now, Daishi, I think he can look at this game and maybe fix a couple things. Let's not forget the big attack he did towards that 4th base, where the broodlords finished and just made him turn around and run. That was a tough moment for Daishi, because he only had 4 Vikings. If he was a bit more ready, what if he could have done a bit more damage there?
Yeah, I mean, you brought it up and you nailed it, Artosis. That game could have gone either way with the turn of a tide there. And we are going to go into map 2 to see if Daishi can spin this one around and tie it up, or if Snoot continues and shows everyone that he is still one of the greatest foreigners of all time, and still incredible at late game ZVT.
All right, here we go, man. Our Catalyst, okay.
All right. And the top left here, the French Terran from Alma team. This is Daishi. And in the bottom right from Team Liquid, the Norwegian Zerg. Currently on match point, this is Snoot. I've been a fan of this guy for so long.
Yeah.
And watching this series just makes me feel like we magically whisked away to 2011, but in 1080p, 60 frames per second here. And I am kind of at 3
FPS.
Yeah, 1080p, 60 FPS.
Wow.
It's as quality gets for Twitch, babe.
It truly is. Well, I tell you, yeah, Snoot. Who hasn't been a fan of Snoot for like 100,000 years? This guy, you know, it's really kind of interesting, right? Because we have so many great non-Korean players right now. But there was a long era where he was basically the only one competing on Korean level.
Yeah.
Like, other guys would pop up and have a great series or something, but like, you know, there were years where it was like, okay, so like BlizzCon this year is probably going to be like Snoot and Koreans, like 15 Koreans, right? And like at tournaments, he would beat 3-4 Koreans and everyone else just dies. So, I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, okay, he hasn't like won WCS here. Sometimes he'll lose to these other non-Korean players, but he's kind of maintained that level where, like, if Snoot gets top 4 here in Katowice, we're not surprised, you know?
Not at all.
He's been at this level forever.
Absolutely. And, I mean, with the caliber of these brackets, it could easily be that he's not in the top 4 as well. Like, there's so many people that wouldn't be surprising to be up there.
This is the loser bracket, which makes it brutal, right? Like, Zest and Hero Marine get out. Zest is not a hard one to predict, but Hero Marine, that nice little surprise, very strong player. But the winner of this plays special. And then on the other side, we got, like, what is it, like Lambo and Kelliger still fighting it out or something like that?
I think Lambo ended up going down in the end there.
Okay, so it's like Kelliger special and one of these two. That's like the people fighting right now for that 3rd spot. Or Bunny is probably over there as well still. So, I mean, it's wild. We don't even have any idea who's getting out of here.
Looks like another engineering bay block for Daishi being lined up for that 3rd base of Snoot. Once again, Zerg players want to be on this edge of the map. They don't want to be in a triangle. And even especially on Catalyst.
Yes.
Because there's a long rush distance to that front 3rd. And again, it's on the low ground with a potential high ground to push here for a Terran.
Man, yeah, this map especially, because like you always see Zergs kind of struggle, like, oh, where do I take my 4th here? A lot of times it's in that like way far away corner, or it's in that one that's right down the hill, as you said. So I especially like the eBay block on this map.
I'm actually stealing that. That seems so sick. It seems really, really smart, honestly, against Zerg.
Yeah, well, on Catalyst especially, like some of these maps, you really want your 3rd where you want your 3rd.
Yeah. Well, we saw Daishi play an incredible mech game against Namshar. It was the deciding map, actually, for Daishi Namshar here in Catalyst. And for some reason, I bring this up whenever I cast game in Catalyst. Even though the map doesn't seem that attractive or special, and there's nothing really, like, you know, glaringly amazing feature-wise about the map, I just seem to have always incredible games in this map. And not saying that I play incredibly, it's just that the games are really fun and dynamic and cool. This map just seems to, for some reason, create those kinds of games.
I tend to agree with you on that. Like, Catalyst does give us a lot of good games. You know, it's not like one of these super big maps where it just kind of is like, okay, well, I guess we're not attacking each other. We're just both going to have a bunch of bases. There's definitely like a lot of different attack paths, but it's not like, it's not a biogenesis where, like, you know, when you're making your wall and you can see your opponent's command center.
There's a small little mistake there for Daishi. You know, he didn't finish the engineering bay on purpose because he wanted to be able to cancel that when Snoot tried to clear it out. Didn't get the cancel in the end, though. So that was a kill on that engineering bay for Snoot. Small little edge there, but of course it's not critical.
Yeah.
These Lings, though, could get a couple SCVs. Daishi is not at home. Oh, wait, never mind.
Oh.
Hello.
Dude, this build, I know this build. This is a really cool one that we're seeing, actually. He's making Marauders. I believe he's supposed to get concussive shells with this, isn't he? I saw a build like this yesterday where it was like Hellbats and one concussive shell Marauder, and it was just like chasing down queens and killing them. It was like really awesome, but...
Daishi did this in game 1 against Namchar and Blackpink, actually.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. So he actually, and also don't forget that the medevac will heal the Hellbats as well. The Hellbats as well.
The Heelbats.
The Heelbats. That's what.
Well, that's what they become, right?
Exactly. Right. So the armory is on the way, although I think it's a little bit late, though.
Yeah, it feels late, and I don't believe concussive shells was... Did he get it?
No, he didn't. But the Marauders do still do that damage against the Queens, and they have that ability to kill these Queens, though. Here come the Marauders with the medevac, and again, with the armory not done, the medevac cannot heal these Hellions yet, and that is so many Queens for Snoot.
Yeah, that's a snootish number of Marines right there. I mean, Queens right there for sure.
See, Daishi actually can't repair this command center until it's finished.
Ooh.
This is very annoying. These Hellions need to come out and deal with this.
Yeah, seriously. Well, these Hellions are up front, and he can't go up a little ramp like that. There's already some roaches out there as well. Like, I like what he was going for, but I think he maybe did forget the armory.
Ooh. Snoot's making 7 Ravages now, Artosis. I don't think this is to be defensive and stay at home. I think Snoot smells blood in the water here, and he's going to try and bust through this ramp of Daishi.
Oh my God, I think you're right about that. Now this is actually getting a decent amount of damage, this Liberator here.
Absolutely.
And also some Hellion drops going down, but this counterattack, this is something that we saw previously from Snoot, and I believe it was actually on this map. Pig was pointing out that, like, you see this many Queens, you don't expect an attack like this coming in for sure.
Daishi's actually in a lot of trouble, Artosis. Yes, these Hellions are doing tons of damage to Snoot, but how does he stop these Ravages without tanks? He's starting to make more Marauders back at home. He's trying to produce factories now and get his production up, and Snoot's hitting at a brilliant time here. The Hellions are coming out to try and fight this. SCVs are off the line. Ravages with Lings on the river, though. They can tear them apart, and Snoot's starting to barrel in.
Oh, man, Snoot really looks like he should be able to take this despite losing all those drones. He is fine. This attack doing a fantastic job. He killed the 3rd command center. He's killed a bunch of the SCVs, and there's almost nothing left.
And the Liberator gets dealt with. So many Queens here for Snoot. The CC dies as well. And that was the only potential Daishi had to stay alive in this game. He is down to 1 base. He's lost his supply depots. He's blocked. He drops 2 depots here, but there's still supply blocked. He doesn't have enough to continue to produce units. He's going to have 1 tank and 1 Banshee coming out here. But how does he stop this many Zerg units?
Well, I think the answer is he does not, Maynard. Doing his best, roasting a bunch of these Lings, but the Ravagers putting out so much damage with no command centers left. Even if he were to hold this, you'd have to kill Snoot with what he has, which is looking quite unlikely.
Yeah, Snoot is up 50 workers at this point. Yes, he lost a lot of drones, but he has way more workers than Daishi does. The Banshee will eventually clear up these Ravages, but honestly, what prayer does Daishi have to come back in this game at this point?
7 workers, none. GG. Good luck. Snoot is victorious. I tell you what, though, that game 1, Daishi showing so much strength that people better watch out for him at the next WCS.
Absolutely. I could see him qualifying and also getting deep, dude. Top 8 easily peasily. If he can play that well against Namchar and play that well against Snoot, I mean, game 2 wasn't really an indication of, like, you know, his level of play. Like, that looks really, really one-sided.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of build where one player is just going to die or win.
Yeah.
When you go for something like that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one as well. It seems like macro from Snoot, and then he attacks you. But what can we say? We're going to jump to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll hear from the man himself.
welcome back everybody to the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2018. We just saw a very intense TVT with Snoot coming out on top over Daishi. So first of all, congratulations, Snoot. With this win, you're increasing your win streak over Daishi to 9 wins in a row. I'm wondering if you were aware of this. Yeah, I know Daishi's chuckling behind us, but that is the actual statistic. Were you aware of that?
I didn't know it was that bad, but I played him a few times on ladder, and I actually lost those. So he also played a little bit different from the mech turn style that I'm used to. Like, I was very surprised about how difficult it was to attack on Blackpink. So yeah, not sure.
Well, you just said that you lost him on ladders. So what was, I guess, the lessons that you learned from those games that clearly helped you coming into today's games?
I expected that he would play mech, but I guess what I learned was to be very careful and get to Broodlords as quickly as possible. Because every time I tried to beat him without Broodlords, it never went well for me. And I think it's kind of like that against mech. But it's a little bit tricky to survive until that stage, and when you do reach that stage, control is very difficult, and you need to protect your expansions. So it's also very, it's very, you have to play for so long. The games just drag on, so it's very exhausting also.
Well, it was definitely impressive for us watching, and with this win over Daishi, you have yet another Terran. It looks like you have a lot of Terrans to beat in this open bracket. It's Special, and the last time you played Special was at Leipzig, where he beat you in a very close series 3-2 in the quarterfinals. So now with this rematch, what are your thoughts on him?
I think it's going to be very difficult. He seems to be playing very well this event, and the last one also. So I feel like my skill level hasn't really changed that much since Leipzig, so I'm going to have to do as well as I can, and hopefully it's going to work out a little bit better this time.
All right, well, congratulations again, Snoot. Best of luck in that next match. It is Special versus Snoot coming up. Let's head back to Claire's.
That's right, thank you, Smix. And as Rotterdam mentioned on the desk here before, it's Jens doesn't give a damn about your tournament schedule, Asgard. Able to move through this round, and he will be playing against Special next. Gentlemen, though, as much as Snoot, was able to get the win there and impressed, I think Daishi has really impressed us these past couple of series.
If he plays like this at the next WCS stop, I agree with the boys that were casting. He can absolutely get top 8. That first game, just freaking awesome, man. That's what StarCraft is all about. There were multiple moments where I really thought it was over, but he kept hanging in there. I think there was one very cute moment we had here off desk, where you kind of think that the game is over. You see a couple parasitic bombs, and within the blink of an eye, he pulls back the right Viking, not once, not twice, but like 3 times in a row. And I'm looking at James, and James looks at me, he's like, that was really fast. I was like, how did he even see which Viking it was? No, Daishi played so good. I'm blown away. And of course, I mean, Snoot is Snoot. We know how good he is. But damn, what a run by Daishi. First taking out Namchar, and Snoot said it as well. I think the big difference between someone like Snoot and Namchar is that Namchar did try to beat him with Hydras and Vipers, while Snoot is somebody who loves to get those Ultra units out, whether it's Broodlords or Ultralisk. And obviously, I think there are very few Zergs in the world. Perhaps he's even the best when it comes to controlling those really complex Zerg armies. When you have Infestors, Vipers, Queens, and then slow units like Broodlords, that is so freaking difficult. You need so many hotkeys for it. Snoot really excelling with what he does best. But damn, I loved that first game. That was awesome.
It was great. Let's check in with the bracket, and I can talk to you guys about how these games are playing out so far as well. Zest and Hero Marine have qualified for the round of 24 in the upper. Now we have Special versus Snoot, and the winner of that will play against Bunny. Pig, Tasteless. What do you think about that series? What do you think about what's coming up? Start with you, Tasteless.
With Special and Snoot, I'm very excited. I think Special, I have a special, no pun intended. I actually didn't mean to make a pun out of that. I have a little bit of a connection with Special because I've known him since he was a really, really little kid. I feel like I've seen him grow and develop, and I think anybody who's followed StarCraft 2 also has a connection with his opponent. But at the same time, I really feel like he's lining up to be the best that he actually can be at this tournament. So I'm looking forward to that. I am secretly, I guess not secretly anymore, rooting for him with my special connection.
Shh, don't tell anyone. Pig, how about you?
It's going to be an exciting match coming up. Of course, on the other side, we did have Kelazur fall 0-2 to Bunny.
That's a good point.
We could even hop into game very quickly just to watch the very last little bit here. I've got a replay open. It was essentially Bunny having some solid mech play and Kelazur not quite able to actually take him out. He was just kind of falling behind to the Cyclone openings. You know, the pressure from Bunny was good. He was getting ahead. It was kind of like anticlimactic finishes where there just was not enough stuff in these final engagements for Kelazur. Both games, it was a similar story. There's just too many tanks, Hellions, Cyclones. Kelazur just kind of got ran over. The openings for Bunny a little bit too powerful.
Unfortunate then, I guess, for Kelazur, unable to make it through to the round of 24. But that's the thing about this tournament. You know, you get these guys in the WCS circuit able to propel themselves forwards into the last brackets each time. But this tournament is stacked on a truly global level here, and Kelazur does not make it through. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as we continue things here for the Intel Extreme Masters day number 2. We're going to go to a short break. We have 2 more series here for bracket number 3 to find out who's going to move on to the round of 24.
All eyes are on you. So give them greatness with Intel Extreme Masters certified PCs and notebooks and game like the pros. When you see the unique IEM certified stickers on the outside, you'll find high-grade components with Intel Core i5 and i7 processors inside. Every purchase includes in-game content and supports the prize pool of Intel Extreme Masters. Game like a pro, because the world is watching.
Ultimately, this trip could bring my career to the next level.
I'm not very worried about losing. I'm worried about missed opportunities.
I just scream and say yes twice. You try your best. You feel good about yourself.
So what's really going to separate them is decision making and strategizing.
Laura, you found my secret. Our world is in danger. You must stop them.
It'll be an adventure.
Some men like dangerous women.
You shouldn't have come here, but I'm glad that you did.
You messed with the wrong family.
Tomb Raider.
Can't be too careful these days. The world has gone bloody mad.
I'll take 2.
Only in cinemas.